Hello, my name is Marcus. I'm the compiler of a collection of therapy quotes entitled 1001 Windmills of the Mind. A collection of advanced self-help quotes taken from what's often called the psychodynamic or the psychoanalytic perspective, which long ago, as I understand it, was referred to by some as philosophical medicine or narrative medicine. The idea being that we got to find our story. Our story is broken, it's frozen. So we need help to fix our story. So identify how and what ways are broken. Okay, that's another way of saying arrested development, stunted development, developmental arrest, where there's some kind of fixation or freezing effect in terms of to what degree will we be connected to our authentic self, our real self, our true self, our home within, our ontological self, our emotional body, our feeling self. To what degree will we be connected to that? And when did the disconnection take place? Where is that point, that thorn? Yesterday's talking about the thorn. Yeah, yesterday I mentioned some science fiction novel guy divided the healing process basically into 7 parts based on the days of the week. So instead of Sunday, he would call it someday, moan day, dues day, wound day, thorn day, free day, shattered day. Your false self is shattered away. It's kind of there's a little delay reaction. So when you're free, your false self might still be hanging on a little bit, fighting a little bit, and finally the next it shatters away, right? Shatter day. So the Twilight Zone did an episode on it. 1985, season 1, episode 1. It was cynical. It was cynically done, but if we can preserve the positive intention that was co-opted for the cynicism and kind of reverse it back and keep the positive idea, was that if a person can face the false belief that someday they'll get mother's love, and they don't want to admit that they didn't get it. They don't want to admit that mother hurt them and failed them and they froze up. They're loyal to her. They become her. They don't want to know that. So they just maintain this someday I'll get it instead. When you recognize that, there's the moan. Oh my God, unbelievable. Unbelievable that my mother was impaired, that she was frozen with her trauma and she couldn't see the present because she always was dealing with her past, unresolved problems in her past, and used her present as new additions of her past, and in the process maybe used the child in her trauma for her past. What a moan for the person. And finally you face this idea of what did you do with that moan? Well, you created the false belief that you owe her. It's your fault, you're due. You owe the mother, you're in debt to her, you're guilty to her. That's just some kind of way the child thinks where he's got to have a mother. So he takes it upon himself that he's wrong, he's guilty, he's faulty, he's in debt, he's got the dues to her kind of thing. That's a false belief we got to face, of course. No baby's guilty or born bad, nothing like that. He just kind of creates that idea to try to make sense of a senseless situation. He doesn't expect to be betrayed by his mother. What's this? Whoa. He's born to be loved, to be himself. He wasn't born bad or anything like that. But when he's hurt, how does he make sense of it? Well, out of the pain that he's feeling, he thinks maybe he's being punished. Did he do something wrong? He just concludes like that. Plus he thinks maybe he's got to save the mother, cure the mother, fix the mother, heal. He can't do that. He failed again. Plus the mother must be seen as good for his basic survival, even though it's a lie. So the baby just does what's called the moral defense. He just kind of, just to manage the pain, like all defenses are there to manage pain. Right? So you got to go back and face this idea that you feel due, like you feel debt or guilt to the mother. That's nonsense. But the baby thought that in his attempt to make sense of the situation, to minimize the pain of it all. So then you realize now you realize the real wound that's involved here. There's a real wound here. First the moan, and then the do's, and now okay, there's the wound, and now you're getting somewhere. That's called the working through process, suffering through process, the mourning process. Okay, you're right, your free association like that. And finally, the goal is to get your story. In the wound part, you do free association, say what comes to mind, what does this remind me of, What does this suggest to me? I must have a very good reason for thinking this or feeling this. What's the hardest thing about that? What's the most painful thing about it? You just keep validating yourself, be like a good parent, be a good caring witness to yourself, and ride the broccoli boat, an Inside Out 2 called Free Association. Well, in the film it was called Stream of Consciousness. So that's called Free Association, trying to find your story. So you want to know now what you couldn't have known back then. So ultimately you can reach that Thorns Day. Okay. Now in Inside Out 2, when they got to the back of the mind, there was this rush of the orbs. All that was repressed, all that was denied, all that was split off, and right, at the beginning, Joy split it all off. The character Joy, I mean. So you want to get to that point, that freezing point, where you had to freeze up your soul, and then there could be a natural, spontaneous release called app-reaction, catharsis, purification, cleansing, whatever you want to call it. So now there's like a weeping taking place, maybe. These can be quiet awakenings or gentle awakenings. To one degree or another, there's going to be some kind of natural response to mourning the mother that should have been there. The loving mother that should have been there, that's a loss. You got to identify that and mourn it. When you admit that, then you mourn it, right? That's the thorn state. You want to get to that thorn point, as they say, right? And finally, you're now reclaiming what you lost in the beginning. Like in the beginning, let's borrow Inside Out 2, you saw the splitting mechanism. The baby can't handle confusion or ambivalence of the mother's heaven or hell. So anything painful related to his authentic self, she popped it away in that popping tube. So that's most of who the person is. Their authentic self, their feeling self, their golden ball, the gifts of who they'd be had they been loved, their capacities, their gifts. There's so much like that. So we're split like that. Now you gotta, now that's your authentic self. So you want to go back and find your authentic self. Go, I know not whither, and bring back I know not what, says one fairy tale. So that's called free association. And then spontaneously, nature does the rest. The phoenix rises, okay, the red bird rises, the firebird rises. That's a spontaneous, kind of natural kind of process. When you can now feel what you couldn't have felt back then, because you now can understand what you couldn't back then. So that's sort of like the basic idea like that. And then if you can reach that thorn state, pull the thorn, okay, the image is Kirikou and the Sorcerers, the French animated. So I made a mistake, I said it was a paper cutout anime. No, it's just a regular animated film. The guy who made Kirikou and the Sorcerers, he did a follow-up thing called Tales of the Night or something. That was the paper cutout one. Sorry about that. So anyways, Kirikou and the Sorcerers is a fairy tale put in animated form. And in that one, you see the image, that point when the firebird is released, like the thorn is pulled up, and then she was crying and all this. And so that's kind of like the orbs and Inside Out 2 rushing to the front, or the phoenix coming up. So you want to face that kind of thorn. That's the piercing point of the wound. So the wound is kind of general, but the thorn is very specific like that. The specific point, you got to admit that mother didn't love the baby. She couldn't. She was impaired. You thought she did. You equated pain to love, to have a mother. You made these tricks, to compromises, to make a deal like that. And you were loyal to that, and you repeated it. And you got to admit the deeper truth. She didn't love, and you, as a baby, you thought that was love. Play the song by Pat Benatar. Oh, they don't play it up here. Pat Benatar, Hell is for Children, where the child thinks love and pain is the same and all that. So that's we got a lot of excellent quotes on this topic of the mourning process, the grief process, and all that. It's a major thread in our collection here. Okay, finally, the Friday's the free day. Now you're free. Okay, now you're free from repeating again and again, staying stuck and loyal to that attachment, that traumatic attachment, that failed attachment, that disorganized attachment, that insecure attachment, anxious, avoidant, reactive, that dysfunctional attachment. And you're loyal because that's your connection to mother, that's your understanding of love, and you do it because you don't want to admit that mother hurt you. So you twist it and think, oh, that's love, pain is love or something. So on free day, you can identify that the past is the past and the present is the present, and the present doesn't have to be the constant past all the time, where you can now let your life force, your eros, your energy be in the present, and you can treat your memories of the freezing mother, frozen child dynamic, which we'll get to, as a relic of the past, memory of the past. And you don't have to let those constructs, those psychic constructs called interjects, freezing mother, frozen child, co-opt you all the time. So Miss Golem's theory is that mostly we're dominated by one of those two. You know, so we'll get to that as well. I talked about it yesterday, actually. Actually, yesterday was a good video in the blue room, the one with the blue the midnight blue background. Yeah, that was you know, the past two videos were pretty solid. I thought they were good. I thought it was one of my two of my better videos, the past two ones. So let's see how this one goes here in the mall today. You'll see a few interruptions. I'm in a public place. See, this is a limited offer here. I've got the main mall here is doing an extension, and this extended part isn't fully open yet. There's only a few shops open, so luckily not many people are here because not many shops like this little side part. So I got this little space here for the time being. A little noisy and all that, but I kind of like the atmosphere. The atmosphere is kind of fun. I got the park here, and all these nice huge windows, light and all that. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, okay, so that's the idea. And this issue of Saturday being Shatterday, meaning the false self is still kind of lingering there. So we see in the Twilight Zone, the person did the authentic self. Well, the theory of it, they didn't show it properly, but the theory of it is that the person was free now, he was embodied, he was healthy, and all that. Again, they didn't show it like that, but see, these stories are cynical. They co-opt something good, twist it to sell something negative, you know. It's a very cynical thing they're doing. Anyways, but if we can ignore the propaganda side of it all and just save the underlying positive idea that was co-opted and just preserve the positive idea. Hard to do sometimes, but okay. So we saw that that the person did reach the free day and all that, and then the final scene was the shatter day, where the authentic self met the false self, and the authentic self shaked hands with the false self. And the false self dissolved and just floated away like that because it wasn't real. So when there's trauma, we create a false self to live by, to deal with the external world, to drive a car and pay the bills and all that. It's a false self. But it's shallow, it's no feelings, just greed and emptiness. It's kind of hollow living and meaningless living or like that. It's just some kind of survival strategy like that. But when the authentic, that's created in this swoon-like false self, dreamy thing is created, like a trance like that, kind of like when the gazelle is bitten by the lion, and the gazelle gets endorphins to numb him. It just the gazelle being numb to the pain, not being aware that his foot is bleeding or something, he can keep running, so he survives. It seems like the false self is kind of like being numb, like the gazelle being numb to survive or something. I'm not still a little question mark on that area, but. Sometimes they got these shocking ads around. That's why I sit like this, to minimize. Oh, there's that. Oh, jeez. Okay. There's a couple of songs overhead. This is one of them. There's one song that's really kind of annoying and patronizing. This is it here. You might not hear it. Give me 3 minutes to wait. Let this thing pass, or 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. The good thing about this soundtrack above here is they play Charlene's one-hit wonder pop song from the 80s called "I've Never Been to Me." We discussed it a fair bit like a month ago. "I've Never Been to Me." It's about a playgirl. She's retired and all that, and she realized it was meaningless and empty to be in this dream-like playgirl status. So she said she's been she's been there, done that, been everywhere, been to all these nice places. She called them paradise. I've been to paradise, she said, but I've never been to me. I've never been to me. So she did jungle love all the time, just playgirl routine all the time. She became retired and kind of, and it caught up with her that it was a mistake and all that. So she met a younger lady in her 20s who was about to enter into her field or whatever, her lifestyle or whatever. And she said, "Don't do it. Listen to me." And the song was about that, about her escapades and all that, and how meaningless it was. And she became bitter, she became lonely. What else? So she described the emptiness and meaninglessness of it all, and never had family or love or feelings and all that. All she did was fly around to reject men because the mother rejected her. So she identified with the aggressor, identifies men as her to reject, allure, reject. So she just would fly around to allure men and reject them. And see, and then of course men are drawn to her because their mother rejected them, so they're trying to learn what happened to them. And the woman doing this is meant for her to know that she's imitating the mother, so that the woman can know what had happened to her. So there's two ways it takes place. The playgirl mode, the active, aggressive, alluring, rejecting. That's to use Miss Golem's jargon, it's the freezing parent. You know, the criticizing, rejecting, painful, shaming. You know, I don't see you, I don't validate you, I don't care about you. All that kind of stuff, right? Invalidating and all that. So why do mothers do that? Why do mothers invalidate their babies? Why do mothers not love their babies? What's going on there? Well, some mothers are stuck where they didn't get the oneness of their mother. So they want a constant source of supply from the child. They want the child to be an endless source of narcissistic supply to symbolize the oneness that mother missed with her mother. So she wants to, so how does she set it up? She traumatizes her own baby to make the baby run to her more. Right? The more the baby doesn't get love, the more the baby searches for her. So the mother takes that to get her supply. Okay, enter the cartoon. The bubble says, mothers know how to push her buttons because, hey, she sewed them on. So the mother would sew these would create these painful things, and then she could pour salt on it and the child would run to her. Every time a baby's scared and confused, he runs to the mother. The mother's the one that caused this pain, but the more the mother hurts the baby, the more the baby, it's a traumatic attack. It's counterintuitive, right? Because the baby needs love, and the less he's getting, the more he's searching for it. That's why he's like, so mothers co-opt this phenomena to get her supply. So she wants the baby to admire her and think well of her and do what she wants and see her and be a constant flying monkey and do what she says, or be a constant donkey and do what she, or constant, what is it again? What has it got here? Constant. It could be a constant dupe rescuer, a constant coattail, a constant donkey, constant underling. Okay, so the mother wants this supply. So the mother didn't get the oneness. So she wants the oneness. So she's trying to get it. Not knowing, not understanding that getting somebody to respond to you is not the oneness that was needed back in the past. Because she's operating out of a state of timelessness and the understanding that she experienced that she can't know what's going on, because to know what's going on, she'd go nuts, she'd go crazy. Play a new Twilight episode. Okay, I just saw another Twilight Zone episode yesterday. Yeah, I'm gonna borrow this for the time. I'm gonna experiment with this. So let's stick with this mother here who was abused by her mother, and that's why she's getting supply from her child here. So let's stick with this mother we're currently talking about. That mother cannot know that the mother hurt her. Otherwise she'd go nuts, right? Now, a parody of this, or some kind of image or representation of this, is, I think, the 1985 Twilight Zone, the second reboot, the first reboot from the original. They got the original, and they got 3 reboots. The first reboot, 85, 86, 87, I think. An episode entitled, not well done, not an enjoyable episode or anything, but an episode entitled Need to Know. So they wanted to kind of symbolize this phenomenon. I think Mr. Rod Sterling there wanted to show a symbol of this phenomenon. The baby can't know it. The baby can't know it. What would happen if the baby did know it? He'd go nuts. He'd go berserk. He'd go out of his mind, right? So he couldn't do it. He'd be psychotic, schizophrenic. He'd lose it. He couldn't hold it. He can't admit it. So the child protects himself from this. So as a defense against the truth, he'll deny, make up the mother's a goddess. So that's how the baby copes with it. And his unloved self, he'll say others are no good and shame them because he becomes a shaming mother. So the baby does these tricks to make him unaware that the mother hurt him. But what if case scenario, to highlight this point, I think it's pretty good. I'm not sure if anybody's mentioned this. This is 1985, but in the episode, it's about a small town and all this. So they set it up. They just set it up. The surface superficial idea the carrier of the message was the superficial idea that there's some kind of disease going around, and where if a person knows the truth, they go nuts. So they thought it was some kind of disease. No, it's a parable that the baby cannot know the truth. So enter the story in the episode. There's this guy, some professor kind of guy, who somehow learned the truth. But he didn't go nuts. He somehow could hold it or something. That part wasn't made clear how he didn't go nuts, but he knew the truth but didn't go nuts. So sometimes he would like inform somebody of the truth, and when he did, they did it by whispering in the person's ear. So the viewer of the TV show can't hear what's being said, because there is no thing you can say to somebody in the present that would make them go nuts, right? I mean, you can scare them or whatever, but it's not going to cause that, right? So that's a clue that they need to find a way that this is a metaphor, right? So this professor guy, whatever, he'd whisper to some fellow's ear or something, I know the truth. Do you want to know the truth? Do you want to know the meaning of it all? What it's all about? What's going on like that? The guy said, sure. So he whispered in his ear, and the guy went nuts. He went to the schizophrenic hospital or something like that, right? And then he would tell the nurse, and she would go nuts. Or the nurse would tell the doctor, he would go nuts, and then it would spread around like that. So finally, got dozens of people nuts in this small town, and then the people came in to investigate all this, and the investigator, his new girlfriend or something whispered it to him, so he went nuts as well. So the closing narration was, some things we just can't know. Some things the baby cannot know. So translate to the message, the moral of the story. The baby cannot know it. Just like those characters in the town cannot know whatever was being whispered to them and they went nuts. Just an analogy, or it's analogous to what's going on with the baby. It's simile, like a parallel symbolic analogy to the baby situation. The baby can't admit it. He can't know the truth. He's got to blot it out like that. He can't do it. So when the mother's hurting the baby, he blots it out by saying, no, that's not my mother. That's a monster, and that's not my mother. That's something else. He won't admit it. He'll hallucinate a goddess, the perfect breast, the lovely breast. He's special and chosen and one and all this, and he's safe like that. That's how he survives. Now the pain of it all, he'll say he's no good, and then he'll project that others are no good, and he becomes the shaming one, by the way. It's all split up, right? But he believes he's special one with the good one, but he identifies with the aggressor one, and thinks his shamed one is others are no good, others are dangerous, but he'll be the dangerous one, called identification with the aggressor. So you got this thing going on like this. But the source point is, the main message is, the baby can't know the truth. That's as good as it gets. That's good enough, that episode, I think. It's not too convincing, but I can't think of any other episode out there, or any other TV show that offered this point, that the person cannot know the truth. The baby cannot know the truth, that the mother is not loving him. The baby can only handle the natural expectation, the natural order of things is that the baby's loved by the mother. He has this fully innate expectation, and he's wired to be loved by a mother, to have a mother who would soothe him, comfort him, make him feel safe. She'd understand him, accept him, see him, recognize him, and be there for him, and understand the signals and reply, understand the signals and reply, rhythm of safety like that, like a back and forth like that. Okay, baby and the mother and the baby back and forth. And the mother's just there to meet the baby's needs. It's kind of one way like that, but the baby sends a signal, mother supplies, and hence the phrase narcissistic supply later on. So just supply like that, right? So the baby expects that kind of basic thing. Now, if there's a betrayal, if there's some kind of cunning tale where the mother can't do it because she's stuck with her pain in her past and she's repeating what happened to her. So in other words, the mother will identify with the aggressor. That's a desperate thing that takes place when babies are not loved. They become the shaming mother to make that deal with the devil that they say, right? The mother's not a devil or whatever, but the baby creates an image by the interaction with her, and he's dealing with that image that he creates. But that image that he creates, the imago, or her phrase, the freezing mother phrase, this image can take thousands of millions of forms. Get any image that's dangerous and is hungry, you know, like a hungry wolf or like a hyena or whatever, some kind of devouring creature, devouring monster, like the boar queen in White Bear King Balamon, or like a cyclops, or any kind of voracious hungry wolf kind of image like that. Now he's dealing with that, and it's timeless, it's never satiated, spinning around. Oh, enter that point there, but the hungry wolf image. There's a guy in an episode called The Misfortune Cookie. Okay, that psychopathic guy, that cold, shallow psychopath. So the truth came up that he identified with that. He identified with that, and they showed the symbol of it where they made him hungry, and he'd go to all these restaurants, and he just couldn't stop eating. He was eating plate after plate. He was wolfing down food, and he never felt full. He never felt satiated. He couldn't stop eating. He ate endlessly, 24/7, like for day after day, or whatever. He never felt satiated, and just went on and on and on and on. And that's the symbol of that image. Right? That guy was that image in his brain co-opted him, and he thought he was that image that's going on. Okay? And he was a cruel, cold, selfish, nasty character. His hobby is to take pleasure in destroying things, so he was really an envious character. Yeah, do you believe in love after love? What is it again? Oh, the Cher song. We mentioned this. Yeah, like she's doing the same thing. Do you believe in love after love after love? Like she wants this continuous, timeless symbiosis. So that song might take on that song as well, as she's talking about, I didn't get the blissfulness of mother. I didn't get that love after love, that timeless love after love. I didn't get it. Yep. So it was refused on her by the mother, didn't give it to her. So she became that one. Says to all the guys out there, hey guys, I don't think you can give me that love after love. I don't think you can give me the blissful time that I needed with my mother. You're not good enough. You can't do it. I reject you because I was rejected, and I want to reject before I was rejected. It's too painful to be rejected, so I reject you first. So you're no good enough. I don't believe you. You don't believe it. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. She kept saying you're not good, like that, right? So that song's also symbolic of the missing oneness like that. But the good one, my favorite song on this loop is the Charlene one. I've never been to me. So the retired playgirl, the Donna Juana or She Wolf, what do you want to call her? So she's never been to me. She was doing also like this hungry, like that guy in. She was also kind of like that guy in the Misfortune Cookie, like the guy at the end there eating, gulping up all the food. It was all like a dreamy kind of thing they made it, right? That's interesting about that episode. I kind of had a yearning to go to one of Mr. Lee's Chinese cuisine. It looked like a really nice, cozy kind of place, right? San Francisco somewhere, right? Of course, it's just a story, right? But yeah, that restaurant they showed you, it looked really nice, kind of thing, very cozy kind of. And one thing to appreciate, that owner guy, he said, we really treat it like a craft, like a specialized skill to prepare the food and set it up and deliver it nicely to you, and we consider it like an art or something. He was explaining that. He didn't get it. He didn't care about that. But yeah, Mr. Liu was a nice guy, very gracious about it and all that. Yeah. But that atmosphere was kind of nice. I thought that was very cozy, kind of nice Chinese restaurant. Oh, is it over? Oh, good. Okay. And that song's starting to get it. That song, that Cher song, starting to be annoying as well. I don't mind the Donna Summer song up there. That's okay. She's the queen of disco. She was an amazing, extremely beautiful, amazing, confident woman, right? I think Melanie Thornton could have opened up for her, right? If the times were the same or something. I think we talked about Melanie Thornton. She just became a soloist. Had her first big hit called "Love How You Love Me." Great song. Really nice song. And yeah, she passed. Sadly, she passed away just after that, after her first album and all that. But no, she's not as exciting, I guess, as Donna Summer. But I thought, my first thought was, I bet you that'd be a perfect opening after Donna Summer, Melanie Thornton. She's kind of like a Donna Summer, nice girl version or something, like a softer version or something. Donna Summer had that sort of bad girl kind of image or something, right? Even has a song called Bad Girl or something. Or Hot Stuff, what was it called? I forgot. Never mind. Yeah, so that charting song, I've Never Been to Mean, is on our soundtrack, yeah. Also, as is Melanie Thornton's song, Love How You Love Me, that's also on our soundtrack. I won't talk about the soundtrack now, but we have really an amazing soundtrack. Songs from around the world, all genres, classic rock, pop, disco. But a lot of songs from like indigenous singers, folk singers, and singers from like Malaysia and Turkey, Brazil, and all over. I'm trying to get all languages from every place. That's why I really love. I'm very happy to discover that Global Go-Go weekly world music show. It's been around for 15 years, and I didn't even know it existed. Just recently found it. It's good stuff. That guy does a great job. It's a community, one of those listener-supported community, kind of things. I don't know where he gets all that great stuff. That's really a great channel. You get a lot of great songs on there. And he tells you, in the 70s, in Somalia, he was a big hit or something. So you really get a feel for what's going on around the world, the people and all that. And his slogan is decolonizing your ear. Was that right? Yeah, I'm learning quite a bit from the show. So I feel like there's a little commonality between his show and 1001 Windmills of the Mind, because I'm trying to find the best quotes about healing ourselves, and he tries to find the best songs from around the world. So all defense mechanisms are operations of the mind, maneuvers of the mind, that the baby's got to engage him to not be aware of the pain that he's in. I remember somebody had the phrase "the pain body" or something like that. It was popular for a little while or something. I don't know if that's still around, but there's something there like that. The baby's his whole self is in pain, so he's got to make himself unaware of it. The way to be unaware that he's in pain is do these tricks in the mind. So number one, like that show, need to know, in Twilight Zone, need to know one. You don't need to know. In other words, you don't need to know. Baby, you don't need to know. So the mother's hurting a baby. Baby, you don't need to know this. You don't need to know that I'm shaming you, thingifying you, rejecting you, shaming you, I'm not loving you. You don't need to know this. You can't know it. Need to know it. You can't know it, right? If you knew it, you'd go nuts, and that's what the show shows. People went nuts. Literally, they went nuts, bonkers. They went out of their minds, literally. It's just too much. You couldn't handle it, right? See, that's why defense mechanisms are there, to protect ourselves from that kind of knowledge, right? We can't admit the truth. The baby can't admit the truth. The baby can't know it. So his ability to even know stuff doesn't develop. That's a defense mechanism. The scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz, that's a defense. Meaning he's not going to know it. The scarecrow has no brain. It's known, but he can't think it. That's a defense. Okay, to not be able to recognize it. So the scarecrow has no brain. So in the healing journey, we got to give the scarecrow a brain. Okay. Also with trauma, the person's going to not be able to feel and trust. That's the Tin Man with no heart and all that, right? And the scarecrow and Tin Man being like that means the person's going to feel disembodied like the cowardly lion like that. Okay, that's a fairy tale. So these are all, every character in a myth and fairy tale is a symbol or a personification, like a painting or something, just to point to something that they're not real, but they point to something that's real. So Dorothy's sort of like part of the innate system, innate drive for healing to line things up, right? So, and you want to get them all lined up together like that. And then you can go home. But to go home, you got to face and identify the freezing parent. That's the Wicked Witch image. So now that's not real. You didn't know how you felt with it. So the image in Wizard of Oz, you throw water on it. That means you now admit that freezing mother image is how you felt with the mother. And you created this witch image, and that's your mother now. But wait a minute, that's not real. That's just how you felt with her. So feel how you felt with her, and then poofs away. That poofs away. Then she can go home. Then she back home, in her home. The whole Wizard of Oz is just like a fairy tale. So like one long dream kind of thing. So the idea of going home, like Odysseus wants to go home. It means you're getting back your authentic self, your beingness, your inner home, your embodiment. That's your home. We're home within. We all have a home within. We lose it when we get it back. That's the big issue, right? Okay, another key point about all this is that when there is trauma, click, repetition compulsion. I think Paul Levi-Russell really makes that point clear. He says, just think of them as synonymous. If there's trauma, we're going to repeat, to not be pain, to have a mother that's done, to be at home, to be familiar, to have attachment, to be safe, to not admit it, to deny it, but to get a better outcome. But that's your home, and your problem there, unresolved, unfinished. You're stuck like this. You're stuck with this kind of thing. So you're just repeating it. So typically, if the mother was shaming, the person might look for shaming people in their lives because they're loyal to, because they don't want to know yet. They don't know yet that the mother shamed them. So they find shaming people ultimately to know that the mother shamed them, because that's why they're choosing shaming friends or whatever. So if they don't know it, they're going to repeat it by searching for somebody who reminds their mother, so they can ultimately know it. So the healing process is to make the inference that what you're repeating again and again and again, that's to tell you what had happened, and the memory system by it. And what I really like about Miss Golem's little intrapsychic structural model, she keeps it very sort of self-help, practically in a practical self-help way. So just think of the psychic structure as the freezing parent and frozen child, basically, and just kind of, and that's and we're going to keep repeating. Yeah. So there's several ways we can see this dynamic, and we'll discuss some of them. Basically, yesterday I experimented with the self-help exercise. If you bump into anybody who's being aggressive or something, being shaming or being rude or being like against you or something, just something in that kind of area, in whatever shape or form it is, passive, active, okay. That's because their own adult mind, their like regular mind, is filled up with the freezing parent. The adult mind isn't strong enough to identify the freezing parent as a relic of the past and the frozen child as a relic of the past. So the more trauma, the stronger those two sides are. So we gotta, in the healing journey, you gotta identify, have a lantern, freezing parent, frozen child. Okay, what's going on? Which is triggered up? Which is being involved here? Which is being involved here? And that's the lantern. So these quotes are helping us to have the lantern. I think Miss Golem gave us a lot of fuel to this lantern. These quotes are also a lasso of truth to bring up the truth. They're also kind of like building the ego Okay, repairing the adult mind so that we can now know what we couldn't have known back then. So that's like building a catcher's mitt, a nest, a basket, all, and then maybe there could be an egg, and the firebird, the phoenix, comes out of the egg. But first you need the basket, kind of thing. Again, psychoanalysis looks for an egg and a basket that's missing. So this is about weaving the basket. So I think this is what's unique about here is that we have 10,001 quotes here, and if 1 out of 10 is of help for a person, they can create and customize their own unique for them 1,001 Windmills of the mind. I just think that's a good starting point to build that basket, and nature does the rest, kind of thing. And embedded in the quotes, it's knowledge that quotes can be used as a resistance. That's called intellectualization or something, you know, or so that's one of the benefits of this. These quotes are clear, and my disclaimer: I'm not a shrink professor, a midwife, doula, nutritionist, gynecologist, cultural anthropologist, biologist, chemist. I'm none of these things. I'm a forensic psychiatrist. Oh my God, whoa! You know, I'm none of these advanced things. I only have a BA. That's something, right? Barely, right? So I'm the compiler of the quotes. If they're clear to me, they're going to be clear to everybody, I think. You know, so with the odds being that 1 out of 10, 1 out of 10 will be of help to anybody in the second half of life. So this is for people in midlife beyond. Basically, a rubber bike starts at a 35, basically. So basically, ballpark 35 forward, this material is needed to go on this second journey, this hero's journey, this midlife audit, this midlife examination period. The shrinks call it adult development, where you're gonna, in your development, you gotta mourn, identify and mourn the loss of your authentic self, your true self. And you've been living a lie for the first half, right? Not a lie. You've been living in a dreamy swoon. That keeps you unaware of the pain of losing your authentic self. So if people in midlife say something's missing, is that all there is to life? I feel like I'm living the unlived life. I feel like I'm living the provisional life. I feel like life is passing me by. There's something wrong here. I don't know, I'm stuck somewhere. And then you begin the journey, right? And then you want to start with, I think a good place to start is, well, this is a great place to start, I think. Maybe my favorite recommendation is the comic Psychoanalysis is the best. Next is one way to start. The comic, there's a comic out there simply called Psychoanalysis. It was done back in 1955. There were 4 issues were put out during that year for a total of 12 therapy sessions all in. And it was only 10 cents back then. You can't find it. Apparently it's worth $1,000 if you can find one or something. Never mind that part of it. It's been reissued. February 26, 2000. The complete run of the comic was put into a book, so it's now available in a hardback book for the whole thing. You get all 4 issues in the one book. That's awesome. I had it for a while and I posted some quotes about it already. Also, it's been digitized, which is really good. Dark Horse Publishing. That, in my humble opinion, is the best introduction to psychoanalysis, that comic right there. You learn about the triangulation issue, the emotional triangle, the scapegoating phenomenon, the family systems theory. You learn about if there's too much pain with the mother, you disperse it onto everybody and then react accordingly in self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, so Ellen had a critical mother. The mother hated her, the daughter. So that became the inner critic for her, so she was hating herself. Too much pain to always hate herself. So she would project that construct onto everybody, the freezing parent on everybody. He thought everybody hated her, so she clammed up. And then people said, gee, she's such a snob, we don't like her. Self-fulfilling prophecy she created, because she saw everybody as the freezing parent and maintained the frozen child mode. And then she was stuck in the frozen child mode. No happiness in life, no friends in life, and all that. That's the story of Ellen and his dream. There's a dream interpretation in there. Oh yeah, dream interpret. We got one quote today coming up about dreams. Is that right? Dreams give us tendrils of association, leading us to what we need to know. So what's important to you comes up in your dreams. It tells you what you're afraid of, and it's an advisor. Dreams are like It's from your inferring mind. It's like an advising mind or something. It's trying to help you to be aware of something. So dreams is from your unconscious self, your second self, your secret self, your double self, your shadow, and it's communicating to try to make you conscious. Hey, conscious, it's like this in your soul today. You take a dream sequence and free associate. Just say freely what comes to mind. What does this remind me of? What does this suggest to me? What is the main emotion? What is the main fear? Like that point you woke up is a strong emotion there. That's what's concerning you. It's telling you. It's like this in your soul today. So it's like a letter, like a message from you to you kind of thing. John A. Sanford says, yeah, uninterpreted dreams are like unopened letters. If you get a letter from your soul, don't you want to read it, kind of thing. Okay, so this another image is Hermes flying across, giving a message from your unconscious to your conscious. We're trying to make the unconscious conscious. And Rapunzel is pulling up the rampion and eating the rampions, making the unconscious contents. The rampion was the radish in the soil. You would pull it up and eat it. It's the unconscious to conscious and so on. So it's like a continuous kind of looping process to make more and more you want to get back what you lost. We put our souls, we buried our soul in the forest, in the soil like that, or whatever. And we want to kind of get it back. So discussed yesterday about a fair bit about Robert Bly's metaphor. Yeah, Rapunzel. We talked about Rapunzel. Yeah, we link it on the German film Rapunzel or the Magic of Tears, and I'm also plus the poorly done, but nevertheless the image in the fairy tale theater, the Shelley Duvall one. Don't recommend it, but the image is pretty clear. You got the house and you got the witch's garden, the wall there, and so you got the conscious and the unconscious. The conscious, she was hungry, like the guy in the fortune cookie, the mythical story. She was hungry like that. No, that's not fair. Yeah, okay, no. In the Rapunzel one, the lady was just hungry and all that, right? So missing something. She wanted it. She lost herself, right? She was hungry for herself. Okay, so hopped over the fence to the unconscious witch's garden. Scary like that, dark, unknown, needed a lantern. Pull up the rampion, they're like the carrots. Rampions are radishes that look like carrots. In German it's called Rapunzel. So she pulled up the Rapunzels. Okay, the guy hopped over the fence and then she would eat the radishes. That's a metaphor that from the unconscious to conscious, and you reintegrate, re-accept, reclaim, make a part of you back. You had it, you lost it, want to get it back. This is a common motif. We had our gold, the ball, our positive feelings, we went down the well, want to get it back. Our beingness, okay, like Snow White represents our beingness, or Rapunzel, anyone, echo all these characters, okay, they're frozen, they're lost, they're in the tower, they're locked away, caged away, or far away, or go I know not whither, or lost, or they're disguised, or whatever, and you want to get it back. So the Snow White's pretty clear. Snow White's a personification of our beingness. So we're not connected to our beingness. There's a wall there. Snow White's in a glass box. There's a wall there. So we don't feel our beingness because there's a wall there. Now, to boot, she's in a coma, right? Emotional hypothermia, emotional catatonia, emotional hypothermia. So we're not connected to our beingness. And the memory of it all is deep in the unconscious forest. So we're disconnected from our beingness. So we don't have our beingness. We feel empty like this. Yikes. So what do? Well, we take refuge before the trauma in the uterus when we were a king, little god. You know, so it makes it everything about you. You're the center. You're a little king like that. It's a delusional kind of idea. Maybe it was never a king or a god, but you take that false belief and say, well, I'll think that. That's called narcissism. Now, for the attachment issue, you got to have a mother. You got to mimic and placate or imitate the mother. So you become the mother, and then go through life treating others the way she treated you, and then at the same time, hocus pocus, the people you just shamed who represented your own soul, you suddenly think they're the mother who hurt you and you're the victim of it, and now you're angry and you flip it back and now you're attacking the innocent one who's your mother. So you shame innocent and you hate them because you think they're the mother who hurt you. So that point was made yesterday a fair bit as well, this hocus pocus idea. Because the hocus pocus and double thing comes from the fusion of the self and the mother. They're kind of one. Two overlapping circles, just one circle. It's all fused there. That's why narcissism, they want everything or nothing. Like, you know, Give me supply or forget it. Like they can't do the famous Venn diagram, right? There's no football in the middle, the two overlapping circles, the middle part, the egg part, the football part. They want the other. The baby needs the oneness of the mother. So the self and the other are two overlapping circles as one, and it's all him, right? So he needs that kind of place. He didn't get enough love to get out of that. It's frozen there, so he's still looping around like that. This looping around is called a search for narcissistic supply. If he doesn't get the supply, he's enraged. He feels like how any baby would feel if he had no mother. So he's enraged like that. He didn't go in the mourning process. He didn't understand this situation. That's why the story medicine is to make inferences to what's going on, so we can ultimately do the mourning and pull the thorn and kind of thing, or at least pull many thorns. It's a question of degree. I always associate that thorn as being like a huge weeping or something. Maybe not. I mean, some people say, no, it's just a little aha. It's just a little emotional knowings. Oh, a little emotional knowings. Each a little emotional knowing. It's kind of like the Firebird coming up. Maybe some people get a huge weeping release. Some people get it bit by bit. Still getting used to this new chair here. It's too bad it doesn't fold up forward. It leans back. There's only one position. It's a set thing. Great little chair. It folds up into a small little bag. It's light as a feather. It's great. It's amazing. Yeah. Not too comfortable, but convenient to carry around. So it's good. Okay, what I'm going to do is here, this video, so this is 28.99, right? Yeah, 28.99, part 1 of 2 on the work of Drew Keys here. Now this is from this one and the next one. It's from a self-help book, a very popular self-help book, thousands of reviews. It's very clear as it is, and I've mentioned them already, so I'm not going to focus too much on it. So you'll see them posted below. I want to focus more on my own efforts to better grasp Miss Golem's. So after we do the 2 videos from Mr. Keys there, we're going to do a 13 special run on the work of Elan Golem, who wrote 2 books in her lifetime. Her first book, written in '92, is considered a classic. It's called Trapped in the Mirror, Narcissism Trapped in the Mirror. That's an excellent title because he's stuck, trapped, fixated, thorn at the missing oneness. And he's still looking for it. And so in trauma, you take refuge in the time where it's all about you. One, that's the mirror like that, right? Narcissist looks into the pool of water or the mirror, he sees the reflection, he's in love with himself, just one like that. He's trapped like that. He's stuck like that. He didn't get enough love to get out of it, so he's stuck like that. And that's that point there that the baby's in. It's all about him. He's the center of the universe. He's a king. The mother's just the thing that serves him. Okay? He didn't reach the place of empathy or gratitude or recognition of the personness of others. So he feels immensely entitled to get everything. If he gets something, well, of course it's his anyways. He thinks everything is him. So everything should serve him. So he feels entitled like that. Hence the idea of him being a king or god like that. So that's why typically people say, "Gee, why are they so cold or so hostile, they're seething or something, or they're so entitled?" Now they dedicate their lives to creating a mask that can trick people, to allure people to give it to them their supply. So they always lie. They can't tell the truth because it triggers up the original time when he had his authentic self and too much pain around him. So the truth relates to his authentic self, but he can't have his authentic self because of too much pain like that. So he's in survival mode. where he just wants to, like a hungry wolf, grab the supply like that. Yeah, back to the Portuguese story. So he was just grabbing the supply like that. So yeah, that guy there in the restaurants, he was just looking for supply. It never worked. He was gobbling up. He says, I'm still hungry, gobbling up, still hungry. He ate like for, I don't know, for a week straight, 24/7. It was a strange idea, right? But to make the point, right? That's the one thing I gotta confess, Twilight Zone, they want to give you the point. Like, they want to really just give you the point like that, right? I keep all my bloopers and mistakes and things. I do no editing and all that, so you'll see my mistakes and things, awkward moments. Luckily, it's not too bad, right? Okay. So, oh boy. Okay. So we recently completed 6 videos from a book entitled "You and the Narcissist." A very good book written by Kimberly Harding, a biology professor, still around, I think. Hopefully she'll write another book. Oh yeah, no, she did write other books, didn't she? Anyways, she just wrote this little mini tiny pocket book. It's just like 100 pages. You can read one page like a minute kind of thing. To my surprise, it's clear and jam-packed with information. And out of that little mini book, I just picked out some of the best parts to create 6 videos. So we just completed them. So we talked about the dollhouse phenomena and how they got to make everything, how this issue of entitlement being the center of it all. So we added to it this issue of unmet symbiosis, the oneness, the baby, the mother one that's missing, so they're looking for it. Symbolic chasing, doesn't work, give it again, doesn't work, give it. Now they're addicted to this. Because that's their mother, that's their attachment, the one with the mother, and that's the only way to deal with pain is to get the supply. So that's why consciousness is needed to get out of this kind of thing. If you're not conscious, you just keep repeating. Memory, repeating, working through. Mr. Freud's famous essay, if we don't remember the trauma, we keep repeating in an attempt to remember. We're trying to remember. So we keep repeating in an attempt to. So your unconscious self is saying to the conscious self, hey you, notice what I'm getting you to do here. I have memories here, but I don't have words. You conscious, you have words. Put words to it, and then I'll stop. I'll calm down. I won't make you repeat. I won't be the puppet master anymore. I'll let you run the thing. I'll set your life force will be free for the present, and all of your life force won't be with these past traumatic memories. So the life force into the traumatic loop. Mother cried for love, mother said no. Mother cried for love, mother said no. Mother was the freezing, mother was frozen. Mother was freezing, mother was frozen. So you see everybody in these roles, and you trigger these roles. You operate out of these roles. Repetition compulsion. Somebody's the freezing, somebody's the frozen. Of course, others who are freezing, they're frozen as well. They just identified with the freezer as a defense against not knowing the frozen. So people who are freezers, okay, it's embedded that they're not supposed to be aware of that. Okay, because the mother wants to supply. So the child can't know it. The mother fixes it. The mother exploits this phenomenon where the baby cannot know the truth. So they don't know this, right? I'm not comfortable. I'm not used to sitting like this. All right. It seems impolite a little bit to lean back like that. I'd like to just sit more. I usually sit like that. Okay, so the familiar symptoms of narcissism, everybody knows, right? Okay, what causes it is the unmet oneness. Babies need a oneness to the mother for the first 4 to 5 months after birth. They didn't get it. Now, in that time of oneness, the baby's the center. Everything's about him. He doesn't have to give anything back. If he's angry, he's a survival, because if he doesn't get the mother's oneness, he's a goner. So So later on, narcissism comes from this prototype. That prototype creates repetition compulsion. So repetition compulsion, they're going to go through life with that prototype. All about them, like a baby. Okay, at that time when they were a baby, when they didn't get the oneness, and they were a king, and everything was for them, serving them, and they were entitled. Okay, so they don't have empathy yet for others. They didn't achieve like person to person in the sense that the child's sense of self can hatch out of the two being one like that. And you get to that kind of place. So a narcissist will have typically jungle slogans because the baby's in survival mode, like a jungle, unconscious, survival, jungle. So forests and jungles are symbols of the unconscious. So people with the narcissistic pattern, they have these immense jungle slogans. Okay, my greedy, your greed. Okay, they're coming from the point of view of the baby with the monster mother. If he's not going to be the monster mother, he'll be eaten by his own image. That's nuts, right? He can't know this. He goes nuts. He go nuts. He can't know this. But his slogans are an echo of this, are a reflection of this. His slogans are meant to tell him what he believes. I mean, what false beliefs he created in that situation. Okay, so part object, it's called part object relating, so everybody's just so Lucy Holmes summarizes by saying those with the narcissist, so bully pattern, Iago, all the various stinger personality patterns, embedded in the stinger personality patterns, i.e. trauma before 18 months, is going to be this narcissistic element. So embedded, okay, so the commonality of the narcissistic element. Is that are these jungle survival slogans, right? That's why if a person with the narcissistic personality pattern, if they're hurtful, they don't know what you're talking about. They're surviving. They're just trying to survive. They're at the prototype place of the baby trying to survive with the mother. The mother shaming him, hurting him, force feeding, schedule feeding, not meeting the baby's signals and needs. Maybe mother's frustrated or not around. He's goner like this. He's terrified like this. So he's in survival mode. So if later on the adult with that mind hurts someone, they don't care. They're just in survival mode. They think they're there all the time. That's why they can't apologize, no regrets, jungle slogans. They're just surviving all the time. No, so and they're entitled to have something good happens. Well, it's theirs anyways. It's good. No gratitude because it's theirs anyways. So they didn't get enough love to get out of that. And it's symbolic chasing, it's repetition, it's a loop, it's an infinite loop. They're meant to be aware that they didn't get the oneness of the mother. But so that's the healing journey, to have a lantern like that. So these quotes are like a lantern like that. So I think Miss Golem did a great job in this area. Okay, anyway, so Harding's quotes is a pretty good 6-video run on the symptoms of narcissism. Embedded in those 6 videos is the discussion about unmet symbiosis. So that it helps to clarify why those with the narcissistic personality pattern make it all about them. And they use tricks to elicit or prod or coax or quote-unquote hoover or whatever, entice someone to respond to them, look at them, think well of them. And they may use tricks like, if they scare you and frighten you, you look at them, think they're the authority. Oh good, I got my supply. So they're dedicated, their whole lives is to figuring out and fine-tuning how can they scare and frighten and get your response like that. They're still the baby looking, they didn't get nursed properly. The mother wasn't around, maybe didn't breastfeed, maybe never even held the baby skin to skin. Maybe there was never any warm skin to skin contact like that. Maybe the baby was removed or something for too long and when the baby came back, it was too late. The mother couldn't reestablish the oneness. And that happens because the hormones go away when the mother's born. At the moment of birth, it's a time-sensitive issue. The mother produces lots of hormones for the attachment. Baby's removed, hormones go away, baby comes back, they can't link. So that's part of it. So the conclusion is leave the cord, leave the placenta, hand the baby to the bosom, leave the smells, leave the hormones. The room is warm, heat lamp, no shocking things. Let the baby attach and everything's okay. Give them the blissful paradise of the mother infant dual unity. And then you got the flow and the oneness taking place. The rhythm of safety taking place. And that rhythm allows the mother to understand the baby's signals from which she can respond. so she can recognize and be attuned like that. Babies need this attunement, this reverie, this recognition from the mother. If that attachment's broken, she can't do it. She's frustrated and angry, and baby feels shamed and rejected, and shamed and rejected. He freezes up his soul. Mother frees her mother, and then his soul is frozen, felt shame. And that's his construct in his mind. And the freezing mother is a construct in his mind. That's two constructs in his mind, and it goes to life with these two constructs. But that's set in the babyhood time. Where's the adult mind? Where's the present mind? Well, it's damaged. It's co-opted by those two. So that's the thing you got to be aware of. In any moment, which construct is co-opting the adult mind, the present mind? Huh? Okay, if you go to most videos, you'll get a 1 to 2 hour overview of the basic constructs of the stingers and the clingers, identification with the aggressor, the symbiosis, the translogic one, emotional triangle, and there's a wealth, there's a fair bit of material there. I think for the next little while I'm going to kind of skip that part because it's been well done already, and I want to focus for the next little while on Miss Golem's second book called Unloved Again. Oh yeah, so back to Miss Golem. So she wrote a popular book, 1992 I think, bestseller. Anybody who reads self-help or narcissism is most likely going to come across her book. It's everywhere. There's thousands of, second-hand copies floating around for $1 kind of thing. It's a classic bestseller. Thousands of reviews. It's a big hit. So she really became successful like that. And then she was quiet. From what I can tell, there were no books, follow-up books. And just recently, I discovered that 24 years after that time, in her mid-70s, she wrote her follow-up, her sequel. And boy, it's a gem. It's great. It's called Unloved Again. It's basically a continuation and a distillation of the first book. She cuts out all the personal anecdotes and all that mostly, and focuses on clarifying this construct. And to my surprise, she had to self-publish it. She had to pay her own funds to publish it. And I noticed a little thing on the internet that she was announced that she was going to give away free copies or something. Oh my God. So that's a clue right there that a publisher wouldn't publish it, right? Part of maybe why the publisher wouldn't publish it, because she didn't focus. She was focused on getting the message across. So sometimes the second person, third person, second person kind of overlaps a little bit. She'll be talking about, the parent, the third person, then she's in the second person. Oh, okay, you can follow it still, but there's sometimes a little jarring like that. And I'm guessing maybe she anticipated some publishers saying, no, I got to fix up this jarringness. She said, no way, this is my lifelong's work. This is the best I got here. I'm going to leave it the way it is. Well, we can't publish this. It makes us look bad or something. Okay, fine, I'll self-publish it, kind of thing. Barely anyone knows it. I think there were 6 reviews or something, compared to her first book with thousands, a couple thousand, whatever. So it's well worth it's only for the price of a copy. You can get a digital copy. It's from the self-publishing outfit called iUniverse, like the letter I and then universe written as one word. So just go to the search engine, type in Unloved Again, iUniverse, for the price of a copy. That definitely belongs in anybody's midlife audit material. One of the best self-help books I've seen in a long time. Geez. I'm tempted to put it up there with Karen Horney. Well, no, that's going too far. It'd be like Donna Summer and Melanie Thornton, a little gap there. So she's in the Melanie Thornton area. That's not a good example. It's just an excellent self-help book. It's one of the best self-help books out there. Not the greatest or anything, but no, she's not Karen Horney. Yeah, fair enough. But I want to focus on her angle of it all. But I think she's right. I think it's very helpful, her way of doing it. It's an abbreviated way. It's not shortcutting. It's not cutting corners or anything. It's just cutting to the chase, so to speak. Okay, so imagine in the mind, in the brain somewhere, a bunch of memories. And your neural system records these memories, called constructs or complexes. Forget the complex, just call it the construct. The two basic constructs are: mother was the freezer, rejecter, shamer, bullying, belittling, mocking, because she had the agenda that the baby is an extension of her hated self. So she hates herself, the baby's her, she hates the baby, and she wants to expel her hatred, doing like a magic thing. She thinks she can expel her hatred by hating the baby, but the baby, she projects her hated self onto the baby and thinks the baby's her hated self, puts all her hate on the baby and wants to eject it. Okay, that might be one theory about narcissism. See, in narcissism, other people are just their shamed self or the shaming mother. And they are the shamed self or the shaming mother. And everyone is them, right? Everybody is a part of them, kind of thing. So everybody's going to be either the shamed self or the shaming one. Then the other split is the idealized or the special one. So there's no really, go to 2898, the first quote. That's a very good one. The first quote in the last video, 2898, the first one. I forgot the author's name, but he explained it pretty clearly about the transference. So since the baby thinks everything's him, in narcissism they think everybody's him. So he's going to see everybody as an extension or a mirage of him somehow. Now what is he made up of in his mind? The shaming mother and the shamed self. So others are going to be either their shamed self, and then they're going to be the shaming mother and attack them. Or they assume the other's going to be the shaming one, and now there's a conflict because they're going to be the shaming one, they're the shaming one. Now they're fighting with each other all the time. And neither of them, and the person never knows that being the shaming one is a defense to be unaware that the frozen child is frozen underneath. Now some people, so they don't look for people who are going to be criticizing them because they're looking for people to freeze because they're frozen. They don't want to know they're frozen. They want to externalize their frozen self, so they're looking for people to shame. So they look for underlings, they look for codependents and voyeuristic types, duped rescuer types, underling types, flying monkey types, coattail types, donkey types. Okay, go to 2990 by Mr. Keys there. Okay, so they need somebody, they don't sing the song, find me somebody to love, right? Find me somebody to shame, because they have a shame self. They want it externalized to not know that it's with them, and they identify with the mother. They're the mother now. They can't accept themselves. Others can play them, which they'll shame or reject. So that's why narcissistic people, there's no warmth in there, right? There's just a lot of hate like that. But to get their supply, they're intuitive to know how to appeal to people, say what people want to hear, dangle some bait or something, gotcha kind of thing, or they're intuitive to know that there are other people looking for love. Oh yeah, I can help you. Really? Then the pleasers and the clingers, okay, they're still trying to save the parent. Oh, you can spend your time trying to save me. I don't knock yourself up. I just want the attention. I just want the response. You can dedicate your life because you're a part of me saving me. You can try to save your mother, make me your mother. Okay, and I'll get my supply by this trick. So they're the duped rescuers. Oh yeah, he even calls it that. What is it? The duped rescuers, yeah. So they're duped, so he's going to dupe people all the time. He spends his whole life trying to figure out ways to dupe people, put it that way. It's a pitiful, empty, shallow kind of life. He can't accept anything, he can't accept nourishment. Like the one in the misfortune cookie story, he can't take in, he's empty like that, he can't take in. Yeah, it's true about that in some of the restaurants. You might get the meal served nicely to you or something, right? In Chinese restaurants or Japanese like that. But in some Western, like, here you go, here's your meal or something. Hang on. Am I getting the message across? I don't know. Okay, so the child's going to create some kind of template, a model, an internal psychic model, some kind of operating system, like some kind of a psychic structure. He's going to repeatedly live in the present by those models and see everything by that model. So the present is still that model. He wrenches the present to fit that model. He sees today through the lens of yesterday. Everything is still yesterday. He's in a timeless kind of place like that. So what is the model? So let's just stick for the time being, freezing parent, frozen child. Okay. Now, if the trauma is very severe, mostly they'll identify with the aggressor and they'll be the freezing one. So they'll go around looking for people to shame and mock, and they'll be negative like that. If the trauma is sort of post 18 months, they tend to be the pleasers and the underlings and the caretakers and the helpers. They're like the frozen child one, still trying to save the parent, cure the parent, heal the parent, fix the parent. They're still trying to give in like that. So there's like the clingers like that. So you got the stingers and the clingers. So usually I've been using stingers and clingers for this. She calls it freezing child, frozen child one. Same idea. Okay, so now the other point is that the clingers under stress can be a stinger as well. Okay, the clinger can go to the stinger mode for the time being if necessary, but that's not their regular setup. Just under stress we regress like that. But the stingers are like permanently frozen stressed, like they're always angry and tense like that. Right? So-called character disorder or personality disorder, disorder of the self, whatever you want to call it. They never got enough love to get out of that. They have an inability to admit mother hurt them. That's a disorder like that. You never know the truth. No, mother was a goddess, and you're acting like the freezing mother one, and you think you're the special one with the mother, and you split it like that, right? So you got the freezing mother, frozen child, overlap, one pair, that's one, and the other pair is the goddess and special chosen, the one like that, split like that. But that other one is made up. It's a delusional one, but that's what you believe in order to feel special and safe, to not know the truth of the other side one. So you got a split. You got two overlapping circles, like a pair of overlapping circles. He thinks one and acts the other, basically. So throughout Miss Goldham's book, she would say things like that her mother was the freezing mother. So she unknowingly would choose verbally abusive man or narcissistic man or shaming man like that, and had this magnetic kind of compulsion to be attracted to them. So she's still in that mode of the frozen child, trying to save the mother, cure the mother, heal the mother, because the baby thought it's his job to fix the mother, save the mother, cure the mother. So look for somebody who reminds you of the mother and keep on going like that. It's a relentless struggle like that. You think maybe try harder. Gee, one day, someday I'll fix her. Someday I'll fix this person who's the mother in their mind. Someday I'll fix mother. Okay, now you're there because you gotta have a mother. That's your connection to the mother. It's your hope with the mother. You cannot not live without a mother. So he just replays that frozen template again and again and again and again. The present is just still the past all the time. So so typically, okay. Okay, so you look for people who remind you of the mother, basically. And if you're going to play the frozen child one, you're going to be shamed by the rejecting one, thinking that's love because you thought mother doing that to you was love, but it wasn't. The idea is to now admit that wasn't love, but the baby mixed it up. Pain is love. So to have some sense of love, you find the painful one and enter that book, Why Men Love Bitches or something. And the advice book, I think it was, dear ladies, just be bitchy because most men had a bitchy mother, so you can trigger that, you can hook them in like that. And the men will be duped, they'll be dupe rescuers like that. You see, it works. Men get tired of that kind of thing. Now there's I noticed the YouTube channel, Darius, what is it, Darius something? He has this hobby of collecting narcissistic rants. People who are narcissistic, who couldn't get their supply, and he collects their complaints. You can't watch it for too long, but it's pretty clear, you know. The lady would say, I'm so entitled, just me being me, I should get everything. And I didn't get it, I'm all upset, where's my supply? Basically though, it's a whole long list of people screaming about not getting their supply. And the commentator says, well, you know, men are tired of giving your supply, don't you get it? No, I'm giving something back. Yeah, what are you giving them back? Yeah, I'm giving them the opportunity to supply for me. Why should they just do that? Well, because I'm giving them my presence, the opportunity to do so. So if you want a good description of narcissism, visit that channel, Darius. Is it Darius? A young guy who collects these little clips on YouTube, puts it together, I think. Some people just near me. Hold on a second. Take a break. Gone? Okay. Okay. Let's see if let me start reading some of her quotes and maybe it'll become more clear as we go along, kind of thing. And the people who are the freezing, oops, hold a second. Oops. Oh, a lot of bloopers in this video today, my goodness. I think that's the third time I've sneezed on a video. 4 years, 3 continents, 10,000 quotes. 1,001 Windmills of the Mind. All yours for the price of half a cup of coffee. It's an incredible offering. There's enough here for everybody, maybe almost every, yeah, maybe for most people. I'd like to think for the vast majority of people, enough material out of which they can do the daily ritual of reading 10 quotes a day, plucking one out a day, making a note by it, and leaving it alone, and do that every day. Robert Bly's advice. Robert Bly. Okay, let's just try. I'm just going to read some of these at random here, okay. Neither a frozen child nor a freezing parent should be in control of the adult. Adults have to take care of the infantile parts of their minds, which means to understand them and recognize that they are relics of the past. We need to know our frozen child to feel our child's suffering in order to stop projecting suffering in others. We need to know in order to stop identifying with the freezing parent. Yeah, so people who are the negative, the aggressors, right, the stingers, they don't know that the frozen child is there. If they can get in touch with their own frozen child within, they won't be the freezer, though, right? They won't hurt others because they'll have empathy. If they can get in touch with their feelings, they'll have recognized feelings of others. If they can identify their personhood as wounded, they won't hurt others like that. So that's a key point here. Okay, back to this one. So neither frozen child nor freezing parent should be in control of the adult. Okay. So the adult mind is meant to kind of like, you're meant to like put a comma, pause, wait a minute. What's going on here? What's being triggered here? So how you're feeling or behaving in the present. Oh, who co-opted me here? The frozen child co-opted me, the adult? Or did the freezing parent co-opt me? Which one is it? Well, if you're negative and criticizing and sarcastic and bitter, well, the freezing parent co-opted you. If you're trying to save and placate, oh please, can I help you, what do you want, and all that stuff. Okay. Now, then the frozen child, and the frozen child is submissive and they blame themselves and they're no good and what's wrong with them, that kind of stuff. Okay. The victim, whatever. So your adult mind is enhanced when you do this. You identify which construct has co-opted my adult here. So you observe that. That's a big, that alone is I think kind of big help like that. Then she just simply says, well, that's the past, right? The frozen child construct, freezing parent construct. You created it at that time because you were going to be a goner, and that's how you coped with it. But you're not in the nursery now. So focus on the adult mind. Practice building the adult mind, the reasonable present adult mind. Now the adult mind is very undeveloped. It's barely there, right? So you kind of just trial and error. What might you as an adult like or have interest in? Just try new things like that a little bit. But notice if you're drawn to a freezing parent and another person, if you're drawn to a critical person, okay, see, that's you being co-opted by your frozen child, trying to save the mother in the mind, using the other as a standard for the mother in the past. You're still trying to save your parent. You're doing this because you haven't yet admitted the mother hurt you. That's why you're still repeating this kind of thing. Now, if the person's a stinger, if they're the freezer like that, they're gonna look around for underlings or something, someone to shame. Remember, they sing the song, "Find me somebody to shame." Well, they can pause and say, "Wait a minute, why am I doing that?" They can say, "Oh, well, the freezing parent has taken over their adult mind." So they're still in the past. They're still in the past. So they don't know that being the freezer is a defense against and not wanting to admit the frozen child underneath them. So they want to find somebody else to play their own frozen child because others are them. They could be an extension or like an outer expression of your inner child, one which you shame and damage so you don't feel that it's within. That's still in the past. It doesn't make sense. Shaming others is not going to heal you. It doesn't make sense. So the adult mind kind of like puts a wedge between the two and identifies what's going on like this. So her little ramblings about it, not ramblings, her discussion around it kind of facilitates this idea, I think, which is what I'm trying to do at the moment here. So again, we need to know our frozen child to feel, next one. Neither frozen child nor freezing parent should be in control of the adult. We have to take care of the infantile parts of our minds, which means we have to understand them and keep them in their place, so to speak. So their place is in the past. the relics of the past. Now to help be able to be relics of the past, you got to admit the repetition compulsion that is still there in the present. That means you got to admit the mother was freezing and you were frozen. You got to admit that the mother didn't love the baby. That's a painful thing to do. Back to that need to know story. Babies can't know it, but we as adults can know it. Now that story, they're all adults in there, but that's just a parable for the baby. Don't take it literally like that. Adults can know the truth now. We can know the truth that our mothers didn't love us. We can know that truth. Okay, we can know that that they were impaired themselves, that they were frozen in their infantile past, and they can't be present. They can't see the present because they only see their past. So we can know the truth like now. Okay? And the idea is to be able to talk about it in the presence of somebody that allows you to feel safe, so then the feelings come like that. Right? That's the toughest thing of this whole thing, to be able to have that level of safety somewhere with somebody to talk about it, to do the weeping kind of thing. You can't really, it's hard to do it on your own kind of thing. It makes me more desirous to find an analyst or something. I wish I could. It's another guy. I did look around a while, for myself or for a therapist. Canada, forget it. They don't get this at all. Like, it's you're blaming the mother. How dare you blame them? Their own frozen child has totally co-opted their adult mind, and they're the freezing parent now. They don't even understand this book here. That's why I think her book is excellent for this. This is a very good self-help. It's called Unloved Again, 2015. Publisher is iUniverse, $3.99. Right? I'm not even fully sure if she's around because her website is gone, all this. And her articles from her website, there's like a notice of them, but you can't find them. It even says you can buy her domain page or something. So I don't know what happened to her. The internet says she's 84 years old or something. And, I'd have to find all her blog articles. So most of them are not, they're lost, right? Anyways, she did it. She gave us her book. It's good enough. It's good enough. It's called Unloved Again. One of the best self-help books out there. I would include it in the bundle of material for people in midlife. Masterson's book, The Search for the Real Self. Karen Horney's book, Our Inner Conflicts, etc. I think it's up in there. Oh yeah, it's been nominated. Her two books have been nominated for a Golden Windmills of the Mind Award. That's a very prestigious award. So when I finish the book finally, it'll be announced. But I'm 99% sure it's going to be announced. So we already have 23 awards issued already. This will probably, 20, yeah, 23. This will be the 24th, yeah, coming up. Both books, the Trapped in the Mirror and the follow-up. It's mainly the follow-up, but the follow-up, I think you might need to read the Trapped in the Mirror one to really understand the follow-up book. I think it's better to read in sequence like that, those two books. So keep them together. So both books are, as a set, are going to win a Golden Windmills of the Mind Award, and it's coming up. So that's the main self-help exercise, right? Just to identify it. If somebody's being negative, okay, well, their freezing parent construct has taken them over. They lost their adult mind. They don't have the adult ego state, right? And them being the freezing one may trigger in the other person, the frozen child one, oh, how can I please you? How can I save you, sir? What do you want? Like that. So you're still trying to save the parent, please the parent. Now the other person with the freezing mind, okay, they're just going to shame the clinger. Let's stick with the stinger and the clinger for a minute. So the stinger now, they like to have a clinger around because the clinger can be seen as a stand-in or a proxy for their shame self, their frozen self. And they're going to repeat what had happened to them because they're the shaming mother who shames themselves. It's too painful to shame yourself. So find somebody to play you and shame them. And then hocus pocus, the one you just shamed, you think is the mother who shamed you, and now you hate the one you just shamed. Because the fusion flips around all the time. The adult needs to separate from the signals. The adult needs to separate the signals from these two. Since they do not represent the grown-up self. Yeah, so the freezing child, freezing parent, frozen child do not represent your adult self, obviously. You have to see the historic nature of these two. It's not applicable in the now. If adults investigate their history, they'll be less puzzled by their compulsions and constraints, repetition compulsion. Then it'll be easier to stop being controlled by either of them. Yeah, that's the main one. That's the good one right now. So it's a compulsion and a constraint. And the same thing and it's compulsion. Same thing and it's compulsion. So her book is subtitled Unloved Again, Serial Rejection or Serial Compulsion, like repetition. She means like repetition. Yeah, I didn't like that second part of her thing. Maybe that's why that was a wrong choice of follow-up. Unloved Again is okay. She said the book was going to be entitled Next Time Choose Love. Like in the next relationship, we'll choose love. I mean, not this unreal love, not this unreal hope, not this illusionary love that you're going to convert somebody who reminds you of the mother into a loving mother in the past, not that delusional stuff. Next time choose real love, but people don't get that, so she said unloved again, you know? Repetition compulsion. She likens it to be like a okay, I guess I get the idea now. Okay. I guess we use that phrase like he's a serial Don Juan or something, maybe like that. That's fine. I can't get around. Still can't get around that one. Let's just stick with the main title, Unloved Again. Again, the adult needs to separate the signals from those two. They don't represent the adult. It's the past. It's historic. Identify that it's historic. Then you'll be less puzzled by your repetition compulsions, your constraints, doing the same thing over and over again. Okay, shaming others because your mother shamed you and you became the shaming mother. You find others to play you, you shame them, then the ones you shamed you think is your mother who hurt you, and now you're angry at the one you just shamed. This is this battle the baby had with the mother back in this battle like that. You're still stuck in this compulsion and constraint. The constraint. Edmund Berger, okay, it's a 45 record, only one song, it's constraint. Every neurotic is a music enthusiast, but he only has one record, the constraint. The constraint, this cry for love, this repetition compulsion. He carries this 45 disc record with him everywhere he goes. Every time he sees a turntable with never-ending fiery ardor, that's the compulsion. He plays the constraint. The compulsion is he's going to play the constraint again and again and again. New situation, plays the 45. Another situation, plays the 45. No matter where you go, the 45 follows you everywhere you go, kind of thing. Okay, this memory in your brain. Cry for love, mother said no. Cry for love, mother said no. This loop like that. Memories are relational. It's grooved in, seared in, imprinted in. That survival brain, that jungle brain, survival brain. That part of the brain is sometimes called the survival brain. All it cares about survival, reproduction like that. And that's why there's so much promiscuity and lack of feeling, and the feeling self is frozen. You go back to the survival area. So in the survival area, the psychology that fuels it is, well, reject others because mother rejected you. And you want to reproduce, but that's the brain part of it, the survival brain part of it, to reproduce, right? The survival. But the psychology is allure others, reject them. Allure others, reject them. It's like a 45 loop. That's the constraint. They can't love them. They don't love in the present. They just repeat this jungle love stuff. Play the song by Steve Miller, Jungle Love. The comedian made a joke about it. the song's about a playgirl who picks up a fellow or something, and it was just a one-night thing or whatever, and then the fellow sends her a gift in the morning, a crate of papaya, and she's, oh, isn't that exciting, jungle love. So she doesn't matter how many crates of papaya she piles up on her door. That's the constraint. She can't feel and have affection and intimacy like that. She's just in that dinosaur brain, or reproducing and all. It might be all exciting and all that, but it's a constraint and it's a compulsion. So she's operating either from the frozen child or the freezing parent. So I'm assuming in that song Jungle Love, she's going to reject a guy, right? So allures a guy and then rejects him. Next, allures a guy, play the song. I've never been to me. A lot of these songs are like that. A lot of these kind of songs are about women bragging about their conquest or something. Actually, she does it herself in the end of her book. I just saw it this morning. Towards the end, she also lists all her little conquests and all this. So she was freezing, so she was trying to heal this from herself. She admits it, so she was the freezing. She was dominated by her freezing. Parent in her mind. So she would always allure, reject, like a compulsion. So she admits that. She had a long string of affairs again and again and again like that. Either she would reject or find somebody who would reject her, or she would reject. So if someone was nice to her, she would reject them. If she liked somebody, she would only like somebody who would reject her. So she was in this compulsion, this repetition, rejection, compulsion like that. So that's where you pause and build the adult mind. Wait a minute, who's taking over me here? Who's taking over my mind here? The frozen child one or the freezing parent one? The prevalent defense that pulls you toward those of the bully pattern, for example, who hurt you, is denial of your parents' cruelty by calling it. Yeah, okay. So if you're drawn to a bitch, quote unquote bitch, rejecting women, alluring, rejecting, cold, like that. If you're drawn to that, that means you're still in denial that your mother hurt you, that didn't love you, that rejected you. She promised to reject. So you find alluring whoever, and then reject. They reject you, right? Now, the ones doing it, the she-wolf doing it to the wolf, quote unquote. So the playgirl looks for people to reject because she identified with the aggressor. The frozen child in the man, let's say, is looking for the freezing mother. So the frozen child fellow looking for the freezing mother, they haven't admitted, they haven't identified, that the mother did what she's doing. They're repeating it. Again, 45, constraint, compulsion, constraint, compulsion. Every neurotic is a music enthusiast, but he only has one record. He carries his 45 with him everywhere he goes. Every time he sees a turntable with never-ending fiery ardor, compulsion and constraint, he plays that tune. New place, same tune. New job, same. New relationship, new this, new that, same tune, same. This is the compulsion, it's a constraint, it's a compulsion, it's a constraint. So the idea is to say, wait a minute, well, who's dominating the show here? The frozen child or the freezing parent? Identify that. Identify which is it. If it's the freezing child, that means you haven't admitted that your mother hurt you. And if it's the frozen child one choosing freezing others, you haven't, it's likewise, you haven't admitted it. And back to the Twilight Zone, the child couldn't know it, like how they went nuts when they learned it. But we as an adult, you have to know it. You can handle it. You can handle the truth, right? You can know it. You can know it. The mother didn't love you. Just admit it. Come on. If she, I'm not speaking to anybody specific here. I'm just saying. Like before you do the forgiveness idea and you recognize that she would have, she could have, she tried her best, and you do the ambivalence about it all. You first got to admit that basic point in the grieving process. You got to first admit the angry side. Remember the 5 stages of grief. You got the anger part of this. You got to include that anger part, And then you can do the forgiveness and understanding and grieving and weeping and all that stuff. But first, you've got embedded in the grief process. You got to get to that angry place. Oh my God, really? Seriously? That's the moan. Moan day, Monday, moan day. So you had this someday, you repeat, someday it'll be corrected, someday, oh my God. So with trauma, we live with the unconscious hope for the fulfillment of old unfulfilled needs. That's the someday. When you realize this nonsense, then you do the moan. Well, now you're gonna moan. So we gotta do the moan. Oh, the anger's not in there, right? Someday, moan day, do's day, wound day, thorn day, free day, shatter day. The false self shatters away. It didn't fit too well, right? Saturday. It didn't quite. Because how do you make a play on Saturday to make the false self disappear? Disappear a day doesn't sound like Saturday. So you got to find some way to use this. So it didn't kind of fit with the Saturday part. But the other ones I thought fit pretty well, right? That's pretty good, right? Six out of 7 is pretty good. I forgot the author's name. That TV episode was based on a book by another guy. I forgot his name. Where are we here? Without the memory of our pain, we don't understand why we are attracted to or are recreating our negative relations. Yeah, see, without memory, we repeat. Without memory, we repeat. Without memory, we don't understand why we're repeating, we're attracted to these negative things. We feel the need to love certain negative people. Where is this coming from? If we cannot find our own history of pain, we cannot understand our present. Well, there's a good one-liner. Yeah, she's got a lot of good one-liners here. If we cannot find our own history of pain, we cannot understand our present. That's part of my excitement to this book. I even had the thought of pulling out these one-liners and making a list of aphorisms by her. But I should probably send her an email first if she would allow that. I don't know. I got a feeling she'd be happy or something. I think. Yeah. If we cannot find our history of pain, we cannot understand our present. That's pretty good. Yeah? But the history of pain, it's an emotional knowing. You got to admit the frozen child feelings. In other words, you got to admit that the mother hurt you. If you can't admit that, you don't understand the present. You're just repeating. It's this exact same thing what Mr. Freud said. Memory, repeating, working through. Don't remember, repeat. You remember, you stop repeating. Despite our fearful repression, how are we to return to our felt memory? And so how do we do this? Okay, so one way is by observing what we negatively react to, especially to what we hate. We need to see that in our partner and friends. We need to see what in our partner and friends we hate the most. Often this resembles a part of ourselves that we despise because our parents despised it. So remember, you're them, right? So the narcissist, if the mother has a narcissistic stinger pattern, bully pattern, freezing, okay. If the mother's dominated by her freezing mother, okay, that means her child is her frozen self, which she shames all the time. Because she's identified the aggressor, just repeating it. So the mother has a baby, you're gonna play my frozen child. I play the freezing mother, i.e. what my mother did to me, I play that. Repetition, compulsion, constraint, gonna repeat it. So baby, you want something? Well, my mother hated me, you're me, I hate you. My mother froze me, you're me, I freeze you. She's stuck in that kind of repetition compulsion. Poor kid, poor baby, right? What's he gonna do in this situation? Well, he becomes the frozen child for himself. And he internalizes what the mother did to him. He develops a freezing child. Then he identifies with that. That's called intergenerational trauma, the transmission of intergenerational trauma. Without recognition of the freezing parent, frozen child, we just keep repeating. If we don't remember, we repeat. That's called intergenerational trauma. So this, I think this book can really. I'm enthusiastic about it now because I'm sort of near the. I've read most of it. I'm almost finished. Happy anniversary. Oh yeah, anniversary reactions. Yes, I was thinking about this. If you get some kind of like cold or something, think about anniversary reactions. Notice the time you get the cold or flu or whatever it is. Consider the time that you're getting it. In your childhood, around that time, was there some distressing thing? And you were weakened by that, so you're vulnerable to the infection or whatever. Anniversary. We don't talk much about anniversary. The triggering, like how some, like if something happened on a certain date in a certain year in the past that was painful, maybe 3 decades later, that date is there, and now you remember and you're stressed out, so you're vulnerable and you might get a cold. Why'd you get a cold now? Well, your body remembered something 3 decades ago. So you can look for these anniversary triggers. Yeah, undeveloped, yeah, we haven't developed that thread yet. That's undeveloped. Okay, this one she's talking about here is mainly about projection, right? So shadow work, so Enter Robert Bly's book about the shadow and all this. Usually you have strong negative feelings about others. That's a confession that is within. Projection is a mirror, notice within. It's the means of bringing repressed material to your consciousness. Something you don't want to know by yourself. You say others have it, think it, did it, want it, believe it, whatever, etc. That makes you unaware that it's yours. It's called projection, externalization. You see it outwardly. Then it's projected, it's outward, externalized. So then, and you may set it up like that, believe it like that. You make it up like that, do whatever to not believe that it's you, it belongs to you. So most often, a lot of negative, strong emotional reactions about others. Like very common, somebody who's dominated by their freezing child, they'll go around hating any signs of anybody being dominated by their frozen child. See, they'll hate it, right? So the slogans are, I hate weakness, I hate sensitivity, get over it, oh, don't be such a child, and all this kind of stuff. The people saying that are the child themselves. They just become the aggressive mother who did that to them as a child. They just identify with the aggressor. They're the causer of this problem, and they have it underneath themselves. So, people who attack, speak your parents' cold language. People who criticize you speak your parents' cold language, okay? Like the internal freezing parent, they are there to freeze you. Okay, so if someone is very critical like that, okay? If someone is critical to another person, that other person is seen as their frozen child. So they're operating out of that. Because they projected the frozen child onto you, they become the freezing mother. So they're still repeating the past. Remember, this trauma, we repeat when there's trauma. The internal freezing parent is a copy of your rejecting parents. That's pretty good, right? The internal freezing parent is a copy of your rejecting parents who put their self-hate onto you. Amazing, right? Mother is a baby, it says, and the mother hates herself. She hates the baby because the baby's her. Everything belongs to her. Everything's a part of her. So she just wants to externalize and not know that she's hating. So she's hating the baby like that. Let these people pass by here. Yeah, it's Monday here, so it's a good day. I kind of look forward to Mondays. It's the quietest day around. Saturdays, forget it. Actually, Tuesdays are, yeah, it gets busy on Tuesday. Yeah, it starts getting busy on Tuesday. Okay, never mind. You have to, quote unquote, dethrone the parent influence or the child influence on your adult mind by recognizing and openly declaring that your actual parents' love was insufficient. You see, if you don't admit it, they take over. If you admit it, they step back, right, kind of thing. It is not your duty to comply, support, agree, or cover it up. Oh, the baby, always going to cover it up. He can't know the truth, so he covers it up, right? You are not to be drawn into the child's ancient drama, which is all about what happened once, but it's not happening now. Renouncing the myth that your parent deeply loved you is associated with an act of mourning. Mourning is a giving up of a connection. Good memories will arrive, but also ones of failure. You will remember times the parent wasn't there for you. You will recall the lack of empathy and the tendency to dismiss. You will remember being treated as inferior and how you label yourself inferior to explain why she didn't love you. The more you look at memories, the more you will question your parents' lack of caring. The more you look at memories, the more you will question whether your parents' lack of caring was your fault, not your fault. But babies think it's their fault. Remember, if you can find instances of being loved, do not inflate such moments to make them seem more wonderful. Do not try to fill an emotional vacuum. Experience the truth, what is. Recognize how your parents' self-aggrandizing needs made them insensitive. To mourn means to see your parents as they were. To mourn means to see your parents as they were. They were impaired. They were in way over their heads. They didn't heal from their trauma. To mourn means to see your parents as they were. So she thinks, yeah, so go and look at your old photo album. Look at yourself. Did you have happy memories? Really? Are you sure? What about times when you needed empathy or understanding? Were they around? Or did they only do something that was part of some, if it was just convenient for them or something? Don't distort. To recognize what they couldn't do. Mourning frees you from a further hopeless search for someday. Mourning frees you from a further hopeless search for love from one who cannot give it. That's the someday one, right? That's that's a preview of 2913. Let's go on here. Oops, oh. Still recording? Oh, a little luck there. Okay, still recording. Well, that's the second time I've dropped the phone. 4 years, second time now. Oh, a lot of bloopers today in this video. My goodness. Yeah, I'm still feeling a little under the weather. Yeah, I'm not fully recovered. Okay, let's take a peek preview at 2912. Repetition compulsion. Repeating the forms of anti-loving you received. You pass on this anger to those who seek your love, partly to reunite with your attacking parents. Look at that, right? That's one way of putting it. See, if you're criticizing others, you're reunited with the mother who criticized you. You're one with her still. And you get a blissful feeling called the little white flower, and you're addicted to it. So people become, the freezing parent is addicted to freezing. They're addicted to hurting others because they're the mother who hurt them. That embedded in is the fusion of the oneness where all babies have a blissful feeling when they're one with the mother, the symbiotic thing. You mistreat those you love to prove that your abusive parents loved you. Look at that, eh? So you believe your mother loved you when she hurt you. So if you're acting like her, you're preserving that love bond, that love connection. You're hurting others, that maintains your delusion that your mother loved you. See, look at that, eh? See, she's good. This is good stuff. If you behave lovingly toward the one you love, belief in your parents' love for you may be shaken. Yeah, so if you act like the adult, you see there's an immense betrayal to the freezing mother. And she'll freak, it'll flare up inside her, because the memory will flare up that the mother said to you as a baby, with me or against me? No, mother, I'm with you. The mother does that to get her supply. If the mother terrorizes her baby, she gets a permanent supply like that. So if you're going to be in the healthy mode in the present, that memory's going to flare up. So you got to identify, whoa, what's this from? What's this bully voice in my mind coming from? That's the past. Well, you're the adult now. Develop the adult. Build the adults, right? Mind, right? I also have to do it too, obviously. I see both in me. Like I can see the frozen child in me, and sometimes when I'm under stress, I can be the freezing parent. But I notice when I'm the freezing parent, I can feel the frozen child under me. I can feel it at the time. Your opinion of your parents may change, and not for the better. And so if you're healing, your opinion of the parents will change, not for the better. You will have some understanding of why they did to you what was done to them by their own parents to ward off comprehension of their own childhood's unloved state. Okay, so now you're understanding why they're doing what they're doing. Okay. So when you're healing, you're understanding why they're doing what they're doing. Imagined, so the difference between real love and imagined love. Imagined love, that's the someday one. Imagined love is a wished for experience, paid for, slaved for, but never had. The love experience has only been imagined. Oh yes, there may be moments when you think that love has happened, but true love it is not. Imagined love is only an illusion shared by one or two, a passing fantasy. Imagined love is intrinsically unreal. So there may be times in a negative relationship like that where you distort the good times, let's say, as real love or something. Was it really? Or is it based on your need for love, like an imagined love? Real love it leaves you with a lasting warm feeling, not just excited, made up stuff. The internal freezing parent supports your clinging hope for receiving love from your latest partner. Clinging to this hope is an aspect of submission. It does not refer to what you have experienced. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so if you're playing the clinger and you have this unreal hope for love from the stinger, when you're in that mode, you don't refer. You're not referring to what really happened back in the past if you're repeating it. So if you don't remember, you repeat, same thing, okay. Endlessly grieving over what you were deprived of, and what will never happen is the grief of an unloved child. So Janoff says, you didn't get it, you're not going to get it. Right? You choose people who remind you of the rejecting mother, to remind you didn't get it, you're still not going to get it. Somebody who reminds you of the mother who can't be your mother in the past, so you really can't get it. It's like, how much more clear can I get her? Oh, but unreal hope, maybe if I try harder, or maybe if I do it better or something, do a better job. So you're slaving away, you're wishing away, paying for it away. It doesn't work. If somebody in the present, same psychology like your mother, they're both stingers, meaning in their minds, and their adult is co-opted by their own freezing parent inside, and they haven't unblended from that. There is a sense of satisfaction in trying to please your freezing parent with your endless quest for its love. The repetition compulsion of falling for people who cannot love, or of your not offering love to those who do love you, is a work of fiction created by your freezing parent, which forces the child to comply. The frozen child sweeps you into an endless quest for what isn't offered. The frozen child has Martha Stark out this relentless, unreal hope, this relentless, unreal hope. Someday. Yesterday we closed up with Pavlov's dog, theme from Subway Sue, which was, the title was supposed to be Someday Soon. Yeah, so we have 4 songs by Pavlov's dog on our soundtrack. Theme from Subway Sue, Late November, Episode, and their big hit Julia. That begins with the piano one. Song Dance is also a good song. The freezing parent forbids you from seeking love from one who offers it. Oh yeah. That's why people reject nice people, because they're stuck with the repetition compulsion of replaying that past interaction. You can't enjoy the present. Too much pain in the past. The past is their attachment, is their sense of hope, is their sense of love, is their sense of home, is the sense of the familiar. Now take that word familiar, okay? Familiar, familiar, family, liar, lies, liar, family. Under the guidance of these forces, you will never experience the fountain of love. Yeah. So the fountain of love is the present, mutual sharing, mutual growing, mutual intimacy, mutual sharing, mutual acceptance. There's a warm to warm connection, not freezing to freezing connection. There's warm to warm connection. Fountain of love. To be caught in grieving for love never received. To be caught in grieving for love never received, as if once existed. To be caught grieving for love never received, as if it once existed, traps you in a fantasy that is connected to denying your parents' abuse. Okay? Your actual parent could not love. Yeah. Your actual parent could not love. They were impaired, remember? There is nothing you could do to change this fact. The conscious adult needs to stop being guided by the frozen child, which tells the adult to be guided by the endlessly wished for love from one who cannot give it. You need to recognize the glue of denial that keeps you stuck. Give up a life of doing penance and seeking forgiveness for errors you didn't commit. There's the Tuesday, remember? Someday, and then the Monday, then the Tuesday for the Tuesday. You're not guilty. The baby's not guilty. You don't owe the mother. The baby doesn't owe the mother anything. But the mother says, my right, my entitlement. The baby's an extension of me. The baby has to be my mother, to serve me, to feed me, to take care of me, to respond to me, respect me, do what I say. My right, mother's rights. So play the clip, Now Voyager. The film, Now, comma, Voyager. Mrs. Vale there. The famous staircase scene with the shrink and Betty Davis. Now Voyager, seek thou forth and find yourself. But the woman abused the daughter, played by Betty Davis. My right, it's my right, mother's rights, my rights. Shrink said, nonsense. You don't have this right. Where'd you get this? Is a narcissistic entitlement that everything's about you, everything's for you. No, it's my right. I gave this child, it's part of me. It's supposed to serve me. Oh my God, you're thingifying the baby. That mother's using the baby as a breast, like a thing, like a breast, like that. The shrink had to intervene. Free, go, take off. Now Voyager, seek thou forth. Okay, When you ignore the realistic advice of your adult mind, your internal frozen child and freezing parent call the shots. How are we to get out of this experience once it has been set in motion? No matter how frightened you feel about attempting to reverse your abdication, that fear means you're wearing a childhood's robe. Put the brakes on, and reject your child's impulse. Say no to your child's urge to repeat and fail. Now, if it's the freezing parent, you're just not aware of this. It's the same thing. If you're co-opted by the freezing parent, it's the same thing. A neurotic life is all about ineffectual waiting. So repeating and repeating means you're still waiting, someday, repeating, someday. Think about the guy with the bully pattern. He spends his life bullying others. Someday, you're going to get mother's love by bullying others? Come on. The adult mind's missing. The adult mind is totally co-opted by the freezing parent. And that's the challenge of the healing journey, to unblend from the freezing parent. Identify that there's such a thing as a freezing parent, or the inner critic, or whatever you want to call it. I think the freezing parent is better than the inner critic term. I find the freezing parent term much more helpful than the inner critic. The inner critic's too vague and broad. Okay, where are we here? Next one here. Self-centered parents assume that a loyal child will perform self-sacrifice when the parent needs something that deprives or is adverse to the child. The parents may be so self-indulgent that they don't see the child's behavior as sacrificial. Look at that, eh? The child sacrificing himself to please the parent, and the parent is so indulgent they don't even see that the child is freezing his soul to please the parent. It's bad enough that the parent is using the child and the child is sacrificing himself for that. They don't even see that part. And then the mother says, "Oh, you're a good child." Yeah. And then, that's. And the child interprets that as love, right? The pain you feel with your current people, friends, partners, etc., reinforces the tie you have with your attacking parents. Loving them despite the abuse they give you is what you call loyalty. Yeah, so again, you're being loyal. If you're repeating it, you're being loyal to the mother who hurt you. Either acting like her or recreating it, finding someone else to play her. You're being loyal. See, mother, I found someone just like you. See how loyal I am to you? You see? Don't you feel that I'm loyal to you and you want to be saved by me? I'm saving you. See, I'm loyal to you. Isn't it working? Why is it not working? He spends his whole life loyal to the mother. The mother might be 6 feet under decades ago. See, he's still loyal to the memory and the mind. He's still fighting his archaic, decades old, false memory thing. A real memory, but now false. Well, you know what I mean. A neurosis is a kind of partial dream state. And there's the swoon. We're doing this all in a trance. We're all hypnotized in a trance. This life is a dream song, right? Life is a dream, which is kind of thing. A neurosis is a kind of partial dream state. It leads its sufferers by their rationalized blindness. Yeah, so when you're rationalizing mind, it makes you unaware of the truth. Now you're blind like that, right? Like a dream. Blinded by your lies. blinded by your own lies. See, the flying monkeys serving the narcissist, they don't know themselves, and the flying monkeys don't know themselves, they don't know the narcissist. The narcissists don't see me. Everybody's blind like this, right? Their reasons and excuses are all cover-ups. Why do we choose people to love who can't love us back? We are living in a dream state without knowing it. So we're in this trance, we're just hypnotized, repeating it. The more the adult caters to the frozen child and freezing parent, the more powerless he or she feels. No kidding. The adult surrenders his or her thinking to the two of them and loses the sense of having an adult self. The individual is living in the past. You're still living in the past. The present is still the past. You're still living in the past. All time's the past. The present is called the presenting past. The present is a new edition of the past, a replay of the past, a retransfer the past to the present and replay the thing, and you're still in the past like that. Yes, materially, with your false self, you don't recognize the presence of the present, but emotionally, you're relating to it as if you're in the past. Children have to accept their parents' perceptions by taking blame for what they claimed to see in hope of receiving their love. What? Children have to accept their parents' perceptions by taking blame for what the parents claimed to see in hope of receiving their love. To accept blame is an act of love. The child thinks if they accept blame, then the mother's loving them. Okay, that's the condition. Baby, you blame yourself and you let yourself believe that I'm loving you. If the parents seem to hate, it's as if it's as follows. If I get rid of that hated behavior, I can be loved. Even more twisted, the child's mind converts the parents' hatred for that trait into an act of love and keeps doing or being it to gain further love. Okay, oh look at that, eh? They want more love from the mother. So the mother gives pain to the baby. He wants more love, so he elicits more pain, thinking pain is love. Even more twisted. That's called dysfunctional living. If no matter what the child does, the parent keeps on hating, the child is stuck with being the unloved one who attempts to cure the breach between parent and child by choosing, similarly rejecting people to love and then trying to win their love by changing the self. Accepting blame lies at the heart of repetition compulsion. Children will dance to any tune to please the parent. Look at that, eh? Children will dance to any tune to please the parent. Oh. They deny who they, it's the flashing lights behind me. They deny who they really are and make themselves blind to their forced acquisition of that hated part by parents who cannot stand it. They accept the children accept the challenge to win their parents' love as their parents did before them. All right, mother, you're hating me. You see me as your hated self and you don't want to know your hated self, so I got to play your hated self and you got to hate me all the time. Challenge accepted. I'll save you, I'll fix you, I'll cure you. The child has some kind of unreal hope now. Something's on sale. Shoppers in aisle 7, we got potatoes on sale. Oh my God, yeah. hold on a second. That was 12, by the way. Let's now do a preview. Oh, wait, let's check the battery. How are we doing? 440, okay. Maybe I can just take a little stretch here. Hold on a second. So just like these guys building this building, which when complete will house people, if we build our adult mind is like a building and a house which will house our authentic self, our beingness. So build the adult mind just like they're building this building here. So that's what we're trying to do in 1001 Windmills of the Mind, to build the adult mind. First, you do it by identifying how your mind has been co-opted by the freezing parent or the frozen child, and that the freezing parent is really just, shall I compare thee to an onion, a layer over the underlying frozen child. So the freezing parent is also a frozen child. But, okay, that's what we're trying to get at. Oh, there's the fountain. Yeah, maybe, yeah, before it gets dark, let's sit outside for a bit, yeah. Let's do a preview of 2911. The matter of autonomy, of separating from your parents, which is part of growing up, includes not taking on responsibility for curing them of the pain that comes from their unhappy childhoods. Not only is it not your responsibility, you can't do it anyways. Without knowing it, or with only dim awareness, they saw you as a parent who was supposed to love them and nurture them. Mother's rights. To know what they needed and provide it. And by doing all this is to heal them. The child of such parents, once grown into adulthood, continues to play this assigned role. Children have to believe that their parents have good intentions. To take the blame for the parents' aggressive behavior absolves the parent of having bad intentions and keeps hope alive in the child for receiving the parents' love someday soon. Theme from Subway Sue. Let's play theme from Subway Sue. Yeah, so the David Surkamp explained that the song was meant to be entitled Someday Soon, but his buddy wrote it down wrong and ended up with Subway Sue. So they just said, okay, well, they added the theme part, the theme from Subway Sue. Very good song. Someday soon. So if we borrow that line, someday soon, we'll find out where we're going. Yeah, someday soon, we'll find out where we're going. You know, someday soon, we'll find out. That we can't cure our parents. Someday soon we'll realize that repetition compulsion is trauma from the past, trying to undo the past, loyalty to the past, keeping your hope that someday you'll get mother's love. Yeah, that someday you'll get mother's love, this unreal hope, someday, that's unreal hope. Yeah, so a variation of this is when the baby has needs and all this, and the mother's supposed to give it, she resents it. What? I never got loved when I was a baby, and now I'm supposed to give it when I never got it? I resent this. Baby, I can't do it. Because I would be betraying my mother if I were to love you. Baby would say, mother, please betray your mother. Love me, please. Betray my grandmother if that's the case. Mother can't do it yet. After careful examination, you need to conclude that you cannot develop a sense of self when following another person's plan. You need to strike out on your own to make your own mistakes, which you can regard with mischievous joy, since it is you who are making them. A sign of freedom. Okay, so to develop, to develop the adult mind, trial and error, make mistakes like that. Okay. Yeah, and you cannot feel love unless you show your authentic self. Purchasing love through acquiescence is purchasing nothing. Yeah, so that if you're operating from the child's side, that's all acquiescence. You're purchasing, you're getting nothing. If your frozen child co-ops you, you're trying to win love like this, right? You're getting nothing in this. It's a dream. And of course, the freezing parent one, well, I want others to play my frozen child, trying to buy love, and I'll say no to them the way it was said no. It was the way I was said no to. The weakness that makes your parents lean on you comes from their own inadequate parenting. They were crippled this way before you arrived. So your parents were already emotionally impaired before you arrived. You are not responsible for your parents' early deprivation. You are not to be blamed for their feeling empty. So, yeah, look at that. That's one way of putting it, right? So even before you were conceived, your mother was neurotic and dysfunctional and filled with pain from her past. Even before you came on the scene, even before she met her husband or whatever, right? So that's her ancient history, you know. Okay, this next two is from other authors on the same topic here. A little sidebar here. His perverse object relation with the freezing parent resembled a kind of Faustian pact with the devil and exerted a seductive charm on him because of a promise of no pain, no guilt, no feeling, no need to return to be dominated by the freezing parent. A vampire-like amalgamation between victim and perpetrator replaces true love and concern. Okay. So one way to another synonym of identification with the aggressor is the Faustian pact one, right? So the baby creates an image in his mind to reflect how he feels: rage, hungry, devouring, like that. So it could be the guy with the horns. Okay. Now, if he lets his own freezing image take him over, devil worship, Satan worship, okay, Lucifer worship, whatever you want to call it, right? See, people who say stuff like that, oh, Satan worship, devil worship, okay, that means the freezing parent has co-opted them. Get it? So when people say stuff, that's what we're talking about. This Faustian pact. Faustian identification with the aggressor is the Faustian pact. So when the person identifies with that image, then if they're going to be the aggressor, they don't have to be the victim anymore. So they won't have to feel the pain, the guilt, and all this stuff, and feel like they're being dominated by that if they are that. Now, they are the frozen child underneath, but the trick of the deal is you find proxies to play your soul, which you shame and damage. Then you don't feel how you're shamed and damaged. That's the deal, the Faustian pact one. Identification with the aggressor is understood not only as a response to fear, but also as a temporary means to keep at bay total helplessness and dissolution of the self. Okay, so when you make the deal like that, you got some grounding, like you got something. Otherwise, okay, you'd feel the terror and dissolution of the self and the helplessness. Okay, play that clip from the Twilight Zone. What's it called again? Need to know, need to know. That one. Is that right? Need to know, yeah. You see. See, if the baby knows it, if the person knows it, they'd feel dissolution of the self and total helplessness. And they'd scream and freak out and be in the hospital and on pills and whatever. Right? Couldn't do it. Okay, back to Miss go on here. See, right away you can tell the difference between self-help and psychoanalysis, right? Submitting to the lover's abuse is an attempt to heal the parent. You're still trying to save the parent. Your parent was an abuser, you find someone who's an abuser, you're still in the same mode. You allow yourself to be mistreated in order to placate and heal your internal parent. Same thing, it's not you're dealing with a memory, but the same thing. You try and try again. How are you to know that it is the parents' demand that drives you? How are you to get in touch with the frozen child that submits? Your adult mind, which is flooded by your child's guilt, does not know that you cannot heal your parent. So you still believe you can heal the parent. The baby still believes, he has this hope, someday I'll fix my parents, someday, like that. By shedding the absurd requirement that you be your parents' parent in order to heal them, you can step away from this burden. Yeah, you feel guilty, you feel betrayal, yeah, I get it. If you do not see it, as unfair, as well as impossible, if you cannot give up the imposed responsibility, you will always be trying to heal someone who needs to play the baby role. So the bully is the baby role still, even though they're the aggressor, underneath is the baby role. You may have to mourn the loss of seeing yourself as a healer. So maybe there's a neurotic pride that you can heal everybody or something. You cannot cure people of their early damage by sacrificing yourself to their anti-love defenses. And back to Miss Harding, she says, look how hard it is to heal something about yourself that you're aware of. How are you going to heal something in another person and they're not aware of it? Like, compare it like that. So you can't heal others and you can't heal their flying monkeys. Another point by Miss Harding. Right? So sometimes you first think you want to heal the narcissist, right? And maybe you break free from that finally. And then you think, what about their flying monkeys? Maybe you can heal them? No, the same thing. You can only heal yourself. You can only work on your own self in this area. Okay, make a new, let's say you find a partner, and then what if the freezing parent appears? So notice that, right? So you meet somebody, and then maybe suddenly you're criticizing them. Well, the freezing parent appeared, then they go away, you lost them. Now, if the other person doesn't leave and they want to save them. Well, you're going to freeze them. They want to save you. See, it's neurotic like this. There's no love like that. Both people are still in their respective pasts. A life lived without love is a shallow distraction. Yeah, that's play the song, Charlene. It had never been to me. My whole life was a shallow distraction, she said. An empty distraction. One that is haunted by what you miss. Haunted by what you miss. She said in the Charlene song, young lady, I'm haunted by what I missed. You don't have to do it. Listen to my song here. Listen to my story here. Love has acceptance At its core, there is a contradiction in this for those who seek love from those who can't give it. So another real love is mutual, right? You accept each other mutually. If one's not loving you, you're not supposed to accept that. It doesn't mean that. Being the dupe's rescuer is not love, in other words. Giving up your fantasy, that's 29. That's the one with Mr. Keys about that one. Okay. Giving up your fantasy of having loving parents who abused you will not allow you to experience genuine and reciprocated love. Again, giving up your fantasy. Hang on, giving up your fantasy of having loving parents. Giving up your fantasy of having loving parents who hurt you. Oh, if you still believe that your parents who abused you were loving parents, you're not going to find real love. Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, those are the bully pattern. Anger-dominated people who push around masochists, the frozen child one, who readily submit, do not want to open their personal Pandora's box. So those who identify with the aggressor, the stingers, the Iagos, the bullies, those who allow or find their freezing parent co-opting them, they don't want to know the underneath issue. That's the Pandora's box. That's the truth they can't know, right? Need to know issue. Their internal freezing parent forbids it. Baby, you don't know the truth that I'm hurting you. I forbid it. Okay, mother. It's like that. To know, feel, remember childhood torture at their parents' hands moves the grown-ups into the childhood helplessness that lies behind it all. So can a stinger, can a bully pattern admit that the mother hurt them? It's kind of like, now that's the path to go, right? To look, Michael Jackson, look in the mirror, heal the man in the mirror. Shall I compare thee to an onion? The bully pattern is a mask, a defense against the frozen child who don't want to admit. And embedded in being the aggressor, it's embedded to not look at it. So if others show vulnerability, you hate it, you mock it, grow up, don't be such a this, you're a wimp. They reject, shame, belittle anything related to the quote-unquote more human side of being human. So they hate tenderness and affection. They mock trust, honesty, they hate honesty. That means the freezing parent forbids them to know that it's within them, so they project it out like that. To win by mistreating another person sends a message to the self of worthlessness. So the bully pattern doing this is feeding and fueling the premise that they're the unloved child. So it doesn't work, it doesn't clean it out, it increases it. That's why they get angrier and all this snowballing effect. So the more you act like, the more you operate from the aggressive mode, the more you're accepting the premise that you're no good underneath. Bullying is like any addiction. It makes you feel good while doing it, but you need to do it more, because the more you enact the opposite of how you feel, the more you believe it's contradiction. Yeah. The more you're the aggressor, the more you believe you're shamed. The more you believe others are no good, the more you believe you're no good. The more you believe they're faulty, the more you believe that about yourself. People tend to call addictions chemical, which means craving a physical substance. Those who use this definition do not deal with, and perhaps do not want to face, the emotional emptiness that underlies turning to whatever. their enactment is that of an addict begging for a fix. Yeah, so the bully is addicted. I need my fix, man. I need my fix. I gotta shame someone. That's my fix. They're addicted to this. Narcissism is addicted. That's why narcissism is named after that little white flower that gives people an addictionary, an addictive thing. The addictive substance, so the narcissist flower is considered to be an addictive substance. The addictive substance of whatever nature is a cover, a cloak, a camouflage, a mask for the emptiness beneath. This compulsion and the constraint, the compulsion, repetition, compulsion, they're addicted to hate and greed and envy. It's always a mask over the emptiness, and it maintains the premise of the emptiness. So the defense against it is going on again and again. So it's like a negative loop kind of thing. If you are locked into the role of victim who loves or who wants to get the bully off your back, you do not want to be a codependent pusher who creates further addiction. But see, they may not have a choice, right? The bully just sees you and they're addicted. They're excited. Whether or not you relish the embarrassing downfall of bullies, giving addicts the drug they ask for is bad for them. That's quite a responsibility, right? So the codependents, they don't realize it, but they're like pushing. They're like feeding the illness. They're feeding the illness. They're feeding the addiction like that. So the codependents, naively thinking that the bully is going to be the loving parent one day, they're feeding their addiction that the bully is going to shame them, and they're going to be this negative, painful loop like this. Folie noir. So don't feed the. So in pop culture, I guess it's don't feed the trolls, right? Or don't feed the bullies or something. But they get a narcissistic rage when they're not fed. If they don't get their supply, their positive response, we admire them and think they're amazing like that, despite all their tricks, despite all their efforts to make you, despite their ability to coerce you to admire them, to fear you to admire them, to confuse you to admire them. They try all this. They're addicted to this. They gotta have that supply. The baby must be one with the mother. It's coming from there. And if somebody says, look, I'm not your mother from back then. Don't blame me for what your mother did. And rage, and there'll be narcissistic rage like this, right? So in the bullying efforts, they'll be more aggressive to coerce you to admire them. So they'll use fear tactics and scare tactics and aggressive tactics to get their supply, So the source point of all this is the cord and the placenta need to stay. The baby is handed directly to the bosom. Let the baby latch on, skin to skin, leave the smells, leave the hormones, put a heat lamp in, put a fire in the room, a heat lamp in the room, and let the baby maintain his paradise. Don't remove the paradise. The source point of all this is that the baby's paradise was broken and crushed. That's not supposed to happen, but people are doing it to create flying monkeys. So the more babies, the more traumatized the babies are, the more aggressive it's going to be, the more aggression is going to be. Okay, so the conclusion with a partner, talk about your reactions to one another as you grow closer. So the solution in relationships is to make I statements. So what can adults do now? They're cursed with this. What can adults do? Well, make I statements. 2360 on how to make an I statement by Susan Campbell. 2360. Embedded, you got to include into it Mr. Rosenberg's emphasis on naming the unmet needs and the feelings, and name the feelings that are there when the needs were not met. FNN. OFNR, Offner, OFNR, that acronym. And you include the Offner into the Susan Campbell's one, 2360, and you have a good way to make an I statement. So you start off with simply saying, when this happened, I felt this. just share your action. When that happened, that was a catalyst, that was a symbol, that was a trigger, that was a reminder of something in the past. I had a need in the past, an old childhood fear in the past. In the childhood time, I had a need for connection, safety, trust, community, affiliation, warmth. I had a need for this basic safety like that. That wasn't met, and I felt terrified. And that's what I felt. That's what happened in the child. And those feelings are coming up now by the catalyst. And you share this kind of thing with your partner, and he does the same kind of thing back. And you take turns ping pong back and forth, making I statements. You make an I statement, you make an I statement. See, when you share your I statement, that might be a catalyst to trigger them. So the first person might say, well, when you shared your I statement, that was a catalyst, that was a trigger. That reminded me of a child when I had a need to be seen, but I was criticized. And what you said made me feel like I was being criticized. So now you know that, and the speaker knows that the past was being brought up to them. So they distorted the present to know the past, and they're trying to know the past. We're trying to remember so we can stop repeating. So you do this back and forth, making I statements. It's a little messy, of course. You got to make I statements. When this happened, okay, so on. Okay, that's 2119. Should we do another one or go outside? I do see a bit of a breeze, so I might be able to do it outside if there's a breeze. Hey, look at that! All right, can you see the SkyTrain? Inside Out 2, the ad for Inside Out 2. All right. Well, that's the best image I've seen in a long time. That's the nicest, most encouraging, helpful ad I've seen in such a long time. Inside Out 2, the film of the year for 2024, Inside Out 2. Pete Docter is a bit of a soul doctor, I think. So for 2840, go to TQ 2840 for a discussion of that excellent film. Now you don't see Riley on the couch talking to somebody, but you see what might take place underneath in the unconscious if that were the case. Free association, happy action, healing the splits, sense of self coming back. And we talk about the 10 emotions, the 5 pairs, and we talk about anxiety, ennui, and so on. So there's a real discussion there. And it's hard to get on the boat. It's hard to free the soul. Stingers, people with the narcissistic pattern, people dominated by their freezing parent, okay, they cannot free associate. They cannot get on the broccoli boat. They don't know what you're talking about, broccoli boat. What's that? That's nonsense. Broccoli boat, what are you talking about? They cannot admit a truth. They cannot admit a feeling. The feelings are way too frozen. Well, okay, we'll talk about that phenomenon. Talk about what's the hardest thing about talking about this. Just make an effort. That's the hero's journey. That's the healing journey, to try to find the broccoli boat. Everybody's got to find the broccoli boat, the ability to free associate, and just stick with it. That's the working through, suffering through process. So you see, it's kind of like a sea journey on the broccoli boat, on the water like that. It was a stream, right? So water, kind of like a voyage like that. Yeah, hold on. So should we do another one? Is that enough for today, or? Okay, hang on. Let's see. Maybe I could just pick. Okay, hold on a sec. Let's just see. See, these first ones come from the first book, the mirror one, Trapped in the Mirror. So you can see the evolution of our thinking. And then, okay, then when we get to 05, it begins. Denial is like gluing a piece of paper, a white paper, over a black painting to make it look white. By marrying a narcissistic person while pretending all can be worked out, Janine is placating her internal parent, her freezing parent. The implicit message is, I still love you, mommy. Please don't hurt me. So you marry someone who reminds you of the mother. You're still doing that. The freezing parent is asking you to betray yourself. So you betray yourself. You become the betrayer. So the freezing parent betrays. We could also refer to the freezing parent as the betraying parent. Betrayal trauma. This is known as betrayal trauma sometimes. The mother betrays the baby. So if you're always in a betraying kind of mode with others, you're dominated by that introject, co-ops you, and that's the power of the unconscious, the iceberg metaphor. So you're unconscious, like a puppet master. It co-ops your missing adult mind. The fact there's no adult there, so it sucks it up kind of thing, or it fills in the missing adult place. And you're dominated by the betraying parent. So the mother betrays the child. You're loyal to her, so you got to betray yourself. You're loyal to her. You're loyal to the betraying mother if you're the betrayer. You're loyal to your mother. So we got to get out of this old archaic loyalty to a traumatized mother from the nursery. Okay, we'll do these in the next videos. All right. In the internal child's mind, it is hoped that self-attack will win the rejecting parent's love. Yeah, look at that, eh? Jesus Christ. Children cannot accept that their parents would deliberately deceive them. They believe they live under an indifferent or hostile roof while being totally dependent. Courts madness. Now there it is, courts madness, right? The Twilight Zone show. Children cannot accept that their parents would deliberately deceive them. To believe that they live under an indifferent or hostile roof while being totally dependent courts madness. The parents must be assumed to love, even if they seem to hate you. So she tolerated the abusive fellow. When the mother hates you and you hate yourself in like fashion, you feel a bond between you, a self-destructive form of attachment. Each child is treated as the parent's parent or as a representative of the parent's hated self. Each once hated child becomes a parent who passes. Each once hated child becomes a parent who passes hatred on rather than dealing with the necessity of separating from his or her own parent. The internal freezing parent stimulates the experience of helplessness in the internal child, as well as in the mind of the adult self, which receives its messages and does not reject them. After a person grows into adulthood, his or her internal freezing parent directs the person, puppet master, right? Directs the person, co-opts the person, takes over the person, commandeers the person, right? The freezing parent directs the person. So you're a puppet now to the unconscious puppet master. So the freezing parent in your mind becomes an unconscious puppet master, and you're the puppet, directs you, the puppet, to seek and adore mistreating people. It directs the adult to succumb to other people's mistreatment and then take the blame. If the child had an attacking parent with whom the child identifies, the internal freezing parent develops, that tells the adult to be the one who mistreats. Okay, so if the frozen child memory of you co-opts you, it's the unconscious puppet master telling, find somebody who's going to shame you. Okay, wow. If the person inside identified with the aggressor and then the freezing parent co-opts you, find somebody to shame. Find somebody and you're going to treat them badly. Repetition compulsion. So part of it is you still want to believe that it's love. You're attempting to disprove your earliest and most serious loss, that there was no love for you. Oh, so doing this means you think you're being loved. Doing this means you're loved by your mother. So being the bully pattern, for example, oh, mother loved me. Yeah, that's what I got to do to have mother's love. Mother hurt me, but I interpret that as love, so I'll be like that. That's my connection to my hope to having some love with the mother. But part of the abuse is that the child's is going to blame himself and always be loyal to that lie. Okay, self-fulfilling prophet. Okay. The adult part of our mind is not willing to heed. The adult part of our mind is not willing to heed the rulings of its freezing parent and frozen child. But autonomy is thinned out when culture, so when the propaganda tells you you're in danger, then the adult surrenders power and primacy to his internal freezing parent. The adult part of the mind looks on in a daze. The child part of the mind has not learned to explore in order to fully understand the situation before acting. Yeah, okay. So if the propaganda people scare everybody, the child mind doesn't have the resource to question or something. It's just stunned like that, frozen, and the freezing parent takes over. So the adult mind is missing. So under stress, people are going to refer to where they normally are. If it's trauma before 18 months, they're normally the freezing one. If it's trauma post 18 months, they're normally the child one. The rejecting, indifferent, or angry parent becomes a construct in the child's mind we call the internal freezing parent. The terrified child similarly becomes a construct we call the internal frozen child. These two figures create repetition compulsion, which later directs, Papa Master, which later directs the adult's love life or life. With identification with the aggressor, the mouthpiece of your freezing parent.
Oh, you become. Oh, sorry. Oh, right. So you're the spokesperson. You're the voice of the freezing parent. With identification with the aggressor, you become the mouthpiece of your internal freezing parent. You have reversed the victim position. Now you are the one who causes pain. By doing this, you anesthetize, you numb, like a drug, the intolerable pain of an unloved childhood. Right? So when you identify with the aggressor, you anesthetize the intolerable pain of an unloved childhood. And now you're in a trance. Okay. Okay, to stop choosing unloving partners or mistreating those who love you, we have to become aware of our internal child and parent. It is the child who clings to life through submissive worship, and the parent who demands it and punishes non-compliance. The parent part is played in our adult life by our partner as parent stand-in, an adult who acts emotionally cold and damaging. If we are the ones who play the damaging parent, we damage our trusting partners again and again. Take yourself out of the guilty box. All right, let's just eat. Okay, let's just leave it there for now. Yeah, okay, that's not a bad run through, I think. Okay. So I'm going to run through these again and again until we get to 13. Yeah. One second. Yeah, let's go outside for a bit. Oh yeah, it gets louder, the music, the thumping gets louder upstairs around this time, right? What time is it? 5:23. So there's a good half hour, there's almost an hour of light outside, right? At least a half an hour, right? Or just hang out here? Oh my god, let me just hang out here for a bit. Yeah, okay, let's go outside. So fast forward this video at least 10 minutes, and let me find a spot in a little park here. See if there's any final thoughts here to conclude. I'm already thinking about the closing song. What's going to be the closing song for this video? Well, let's just replay a theme from Subway Sue by Pavlov's Dog. So the first step is Sunday. You rename it, call it Someday. So it starts with Sunday, but call it Someday. Face this someday stuff. This unreal hope that you're going to save and correct a parent or something like that. Or shaming others the way your mother shamed you. Somehow that's going to heal your parent. Come on. This nonsense, all this someday stuff. That's huge. If somebody can get there, then you'll get into the moan day. Now you're beginning the feeling, the moan day. Now go deeper. All this Tuesday, the Tuesday. Oh my God. Take yourself out of the guilty box, she said, right? And Riley and Inside Out, take yourself out of the guilty box. Penalty box. The born wasn't
the baby wasn't born with some penalty or due like that. He was born to be loved, obviously. Original, fill in the blank, blessing, virtue, whatever you original love, original decency, original goodness, original. He was born to be loved. He was born to be an adult, born to be have his feelings there. And when you have your feelings and your golden ball, you're naturally ethical with empathy and reparation. And people are people. If people can't see if anyone can't see others as people, okay, that's a code. That's code of child abuse that the mother did, that thingified the baby, and she used the baby as a supply to meet her mirroring needs, because the mother used the baby as symbolic breast because the mother didn't get the one as herself.
Someday soon, we'll find out.
Take another peek here. All right. Way to go, guys. See, I imagine these guys, when it's complete, they can, show their kids, hey kids, I helped build this building. Oh, cool, Dad. How'd you do it? Yeah. Well, let me show you how to put the pipes together. All right, Dad. Does it work like this? Not really. Not this choice. This is an amazing chair, right? Look at that. Lies the feather. My goodness. What a great invention. Oh. Oh yeah, in one of the Twilight Zone episodes, there was a cult, an episode about a cult, and the point was about the problem with all the inbreeding in the cult, and they were crazy because of that. So the point was this inbreeding made people psychotic and delusional and cold and violent and sick. They were sick, and a doctor visited this group by accident. You guys are really sick. Oh my God. Yeah, it was sort of one of those horror. That was a horror story. Some of the Twilight Zone episodes are sort of in that scarier band. Gosh, I'm tempted just to hang out here. Look at this nice space here. Whoa, whoa, it's hot out here. Look at that. Whoa.
Oh, I didn't notice this before. Oh, look at that. Here's some kind of a sculpture of some kind. Oh, that's pretty cool. Wow. Yeah, I can't make it out. What about the other end? How about this way? Maybe we can borrow this triangle once again. That we want the adult mind to be at the top, and the freezing parent, frozen child constructs to be in ancient history. That's one way of doing it. Let's see. Where can we go here? Let's just sit here for a few minutes. How's that? Let's try that for a bit. Theme from Subway Sue. Yeah, Pavlov's dog. Yeah. Yeah, so someday, moan day, Tuesday, wound day, thorn. That's really the point, the deepest piercing pain, or the baby froze his soul. That point, you know. If you can pull that thorn, so to speak, then you'll be free. Free day for Friday. And then finally, the remnants of your false self will shatter away, finally. And the freezing parent construct and the frozen child construct can be minimal. It doesn't influence you. It's there, but it doesn't affect you. And you can practice in the here and now with your adult mind. Trial and error, trial and error. What do you like? Not based on some kind of compulsion where the frozen child takes over or the freezing parent takes over. Focus on the adult mind like that. Honestly speaking, the way I'm feeling now at the moment, it's really one of the best self-help kind of modalities I think out there. Just think of it the way she's talking about it. I don't know the full story about her. I don't know the full thing with her, but I did see on YouTube an older clip of hers. I can see how she can be kind of like the freezing. I can see the freezing parent in her when she was interrupting people, wanted to one-up people, interrupt people. I know the answer in interrupting people like that. You're no good. I know the answer. Look at me. You know, I could see a little bit of that in her. In a later video, at the promo for her book on love, she did a Q&A there. It's funny with a lot of self-help authors, they kind of like go on and on about their troubled childhood, but they're also bragging at the same time about sometimes a little bit of blur there. I don't know so much about it in her case. It's too bad, like her website is down and all the articles that she posted on her website, they're all wiped out. You can't get them. Can you believe it? I found a few snippets of an older one, which we included already here, but the main bulk of her articles are gone. So that's really a pity. And those articles were written after the book, like after this current book on Love Again. So she had follow-up comments on it. It'd be great to read her follow-up added on comments about it. But the basic self-help exercise is there in that book. Excellent little book. Yeah, so her story was she repeatedly had dysfunctional relationships up until the late 50s kind of thing. So she made a note about some of her escapades like that. Either some men were nice to her, okay, then she froze them, or she'd play the freezing child herself and find freezing partners to freeze her. And she repeated it up until the late 50s. Finally, she said, with her lifelong experience as being a counselor, a therapist and all this, and going to school for this, so she's got a PhD in psychology, plus a postdoctorate certificate from NYU in psychoanalysis. So she's not an official shrink, but she's still like a general therapist, I guess. So she spent her whole life in this area, you know, and then, so that's not bad. And then she said finally, in her late 50s, she said she was able to find a mutual, a warm to warm kind of thing that took place. And they can make I statements and share their experiences, and it was warm to warm. It wasn't this delusional stuff. It wasn't repeating the past. It wasn't loyalty to the past, repeating the past. It was a present to present thing. And so she said she had a happy love life post that time until the guy passed away or something. She's 84 now. And she says a touching thing in the book, you know, how she was terrified that she's going to be a lonely old cat woman in effect, you know. If this can't happen, this can't be the case, you know. Oh, I'm terrified of this. What am I doing here? She had to face this painful truth that she was either being a freezing parent herself or she was dominated by the frozen child. And so if she stayed like that, she'd be a lonely, bitter, you know, cat woman or something. But obviously it worked because she looks pretty relaxed and healthy in her video there on YouTube. Yeah, so she's in her mid-70s, not YouTube, but she looks kind of relaxed and easygoing kind of thing. Now, the other confusing thing about a lot of these authors is they come from wealthy families, right? So it's like, you know, they're not under that much stress, right? If it's, you know, the 1% intermingling with each other, they're not under that much stress, right? They go to luxurious places all the time. Oh yeah, he took me to Hawaii, he took me to Italy, and this guy did this for me, and he taught me this, and all these things. And there was a bit of a boasting there in her. Yeah, I knew this guy who taught me this, and maybe he's trying to make others jealous or something. I'm not sure it was needed, that part was needed. A lot of women seem to want to make other women jealous or something for some strange reason.
that was a little question mark of mine. I did kind of skip that part. I don't want to read about her escapades, you know. So she admits she was a playgirl basically for most of her life. But the odd times, she would choose men to reject her. So she would find playboys to reject her, or she'd be the playgirl and reject men, whatever. Dysfunctional stuff, repetition compulsion. It replays that original scene of the crime with the mother. Baby cry for love, mother said no. Baby cry for love, mother said no. So you become the knowing mother and find others to say no to. Or you play the underside of it, find others to say no to you. And this is what we got to be aware of. So the terminology is not bad. Who is co-opting you in any given moment? The frozen child construct, interject, or the freezing parent construct, interject. Well, wait a minute. Identify. That builds your adult mind in the middle. That gives you that pause to build that adult mind in the middle, right? The gold. Let's call the gold part the adult mind, and all that lead part the old stuff. Right? So to get to the gold, the adult mind, you build the gold mind, adult mind, when you identify. Otherwise, you'd be stuck with just that, right? You want the gold on the. At one point, I was planning to do these videos in a bird park. There'd be some exotic birds flying around. I thought I could make that happen. But that's okay. We'll accept the pigeons and the doves, and not doves, pigeons and mostly pigeons. And at the other place, there's I think it's the sanded. I'm sorry, the spotted dove. The spotted dove, I think. So pull up the quotes. Well, so in this moment, yeah, at the end of my videos, what takes over? I think the frozen child in me takes over. Like right now, the frozen child in me is kind of dominating because I'm clinging. I want to please. No, don't go. Imaginary audience, I want to save you, please you. Don't go, don't. So the frozen child is try harder, but then that triggers the freezing parent. You're not doing it good enough. Try harder. Okay, I'll try harder. Maybe like that. So the adult mind in me would be, okay, let's be reasonable here. Do you got much more to say? I know. I feel like I read like 3 days worth of quotes here. That's not bad, right? Okay, yes, I did do the usual introduction about the stingers and the clingers and all that. Okay, so you feel like content-wise, you offered a solid amount of material. I'm trying to develop the adult mind here. So the adult mind, yeah, I feel like I offered some solid material here. Okay, and yes, it's reasonable to end up on an upbeat note. So do you feel like you end up on an upbeat note? Okay, so let's just focus on this. So let me focus on trying to find some kind of upbeat note here at the end. I'll just leave it there instead of dragging on like that. So what funny thing can we... It'd be great if there were a stray cat or something, or a bird would land on me or something. Let's see if I got anything in my bag. Empty coffee cup. Statue. Yeah, so back to the Karpman triangle. If we use that triangle again, the famous drama triangle, right? So
the 1960, right? Persecutor, victim, right? Persecutor, victim. Now the rescuer is a branch of the persecutor because they rescue in order to persecute, to keep the victim state. The rescuer is the setup to persecute. The rescuer is the allure or the promiser. Then you reject, right? It's part of the trick. So you can blend in the Karpman triangle. You got the persecutor, rescuer. They're both part of the freezing mother. In the Karpman triangle, the rescuer and the freezing mother are, and the persecutor they're both aspects of the freezing mother, because the freezing mother does do a lot of tricks: allure, promise, reject, control, manipulate. And then you got the victim, which is the frozen child, right? So in naming out the freezing parent, you can identify that the lies, that's part of the freezing parent, the alluring, the rescuing or something. The rescuing is kind of like, oh, you're going to be the frozen child. Good. That's the rescuer. It's not a genuine rescuer. It's just like, if we borrow fair parent, it would be the persecutor and the alluring, and then the victim, right? Now, my understanding of Masterson's version of it would be that authentic adult. If you trigger the adult mind, self-activate, if you try to build the adult mind, that's going to trigger the rejecting parent. Okay? If you try to build the adult mind, you're betraying the mother, right? You're going to bring up the memory of how the mother rejected you when you fought for the right to have your own thoughts, Alice's and Adventures in Wonderland. So out of the pain of it, we eat some cookies. That's the rescuer, the cookies, or the cigarette, or whatever. Not to take away your pain, or the rationalizations, or the excuses, or whatever. So Masterson's famous axiom is self-activation triggers abandonment depression, meaning the rejecting, the persecuting mother, the freezing mother, and then there's going to be some kind of defense in response. We do something to calm down the pain of the child. I like the idea of interpretation for the 3 points. We just pick one side, I guess. So an interpretation is you have a pattern in your life. Okay. You have a pattern of being dominated by the freezing parent or being dominated by the frozen child. A pattern like that. Well, when did you learn it? And to see an example of it in the here and now in the moment. So for myself, I have a pattern of being dominated by my frozen child. I learned it way back when, and that's why in the present, I'm not sure how to end this video. Okay? I'm a little, I'm in this child mode, right? Frozen child mode, right? And I don't want to be I don't want to, I'm not usually the freezing one, right? Under stress, in stressful situations, we can be the freezing one, right? Like walking on a crowded sidewalk. I think a lot of people are dominated by the freezing parent when like aggressive driving or aggressive sidewalk walking or something. I think a lot of people are dominated by the freezing parent. So I tend to, like, I'm a defensive driver. I'd be like defensive like that, right? I'd be the child one, right? But sometimes if the cashier might be a little slow or something, I might be a little, think critically or something. Come on. Or if the cashier is passive aggressive, or not the cashier, if somebody's passive. My theory about passive aggressiveness, I'm now experimenting with the idea that passive aggressiveness is an attempt to do both at the same time, simultaneously, like a new thing called passive aggressiveness. So passive aggressiveness, okay,
the child had a demanding, clinging, abusive mother like that, so that they always want to say no to her. So they see the world as, so if anybody has a request on them, any kind of expectation on them, they think others are the freezing parent. They want to now fight back. They want to be into their freezing parent to fight back like that. But they're more dominated by the frozen child, and they want to be the freezing parent. So how's that going to work? Passive aggressiveness. Say no, but do it like a child way, where you escape, right? Like you're covert and quiet, like hidden, submissive child, but you're saying no in your passive aggressiveness. So people who are late all the time or break things, they do subtle little things to annoy you. That's to show their anger at you, but they do it in a quiet, innocent, childlike way or something. They can't be called out on it, right? So that's called passive aggressiveness, right? So we did 4 videos on a book maybe 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, called Understanding the Passive Aggressive Man by Scott Wetzler. They even did a TV segment on him. It was okay, it was good. I played it, I remember. It's nice to hear the birds chirping, in the background. So again, one of the key points in these quotes is that when a person is dominated by the freezing parent, they don't know that they're the frozen child underneath. Being the freezing parent is a defense against awareness of the frozen child underneath. They can't know it. Back to that Twilight Zone episode, they can't know it. Otherwise they go nuts, they can't do it. So that's why they're so aggressive and bullying, because that's a defense against the events fears. Oh, the water stopped, huh? Taking a break. You can hear the difference, right? It's much quieter now without the water. Yeah, what a big difference. Are there lotuses here? A very important image is the lotus flower. Okay, the lotus on the water, the lotus flower. It's got the stem under the water, and you got the pod down there. Keep that image in mind for delivery. Baby, cord, placenta. Keep it intact. Keep it intact. If the cords are moved prematurely, they may be in the frozen parent now. And look at and the child couldn't know that pain. He couldn't know that pain, so it was stuck in the freezing parent because he can't know the pain of that. Somebody said the only time you're allowed to remove the cord in advance, like before it falls off on its own accord, the only time you can prematurely remove the cord, like man-made removal, the only time you can do it is finally when the blood flow in the cord has completed its cycle. So the cord is no longer reddish or bluish or purplish, it turns white. Then all the blood is done. It's cycling through, oxygen is cycling through, and then the cord flattens out like a pancake. Okay. Then it might be okay, they said, but never before. If it's done before, a lot of people are going to become dominated by the freezing parent. Frozen child, freezing parent. It depends on the mother's ability to heal the child in the nursing time. If they can get to them. If they don't cross over and become the freezing parent, if they stay the frozen child. It's a huge irony about everything, right? People who are childlike but don't hurt others, they're considered mocked and belittled and disregarded kind of thing. That's called the Cassandra complex, or the Cassandra, right? something like that. But those who identify with the freezer, oh my God. The Twilight Zone was promoting it cynically. Be more of a freezer. Come on, don't be confused. Be more of an. So there's an episode in Twilight Zone where an alien came and said, you people here on the planet, you're bad and all that, but you're not bad enough. Come on, I give you 24 hours. Prove to me that you can be worse. They failed like that. So I can't use you as flying monkeys. So it was a very cynical episode like that. But the underlying premises by the alien's voice was that the uterus, that when he was in his mother's womb, the uterus, i.e. the universe, it was not friendly. That's what that means. Don't take it literally like that, right? That's code for that the baby had prenatal distress syndrome. Mother smoking, drinking, fighting, whatever. Okay, baby's not getting enough oxygen. Kicking around, twists the cord, angry. Is the cord a monster, a sea monster? 3 veins, cord, placenta, sea monster? So the uterus, he's in hell now like this, not a friendly place. So the alien character said, look, the universe is not friendly. I need flying monkeys for my fighting and all this. Come on, you earthlings, come on, be worse than you are. Cynical episode. Like the one called Shatter Day. They also made it cynical. They took the idea of healing, but put in a character who was worse than the false self. In other words, the message of that, the subliminal was, don't be a failed freezing mother, be a better freezing parent. It was a very cynical kind of thing like that. A lot of good ideas that are helpful are being twisted to peddle a more cynical idea. And the people behind it doing it are meant to know that they think they're being loyal to the mother. They think it's proof of their loyalty to the mother, of their love to the mother. They think by doing that, they're going to win more mother's love, that the hate and cynicism means mother's love, so they'll be more hateful and more cynical to get mother's love. Like back to Pat Benatar song, Hell is for Children. I like what she said, Pat Benatar. She says, for as long as I'm on stage, I'm going to sing in every concert that song. I'll only stop if there's no more child mistreatment out there. But the childhood abuse, a lot of it's invisible. It's subtle, right? Nobody sees how the mother is hurting the baby. No one's around to see that, right? She has immunity. Everybody says she knows best. She's got the power like that. What is she going to do? Oh, she's in the compulsion to play her 45 record. All right, baby, you play me. I play the shaming mother. I freeze you because I don't want to know that I'm frozen. I'm the shaming mother. Now I see you as the freezing mother. I'll play myself fighting you. Poor baby's got to freeze up by the result and identify with his freezing mother as a result of being treated like this. Nobody intervenes. Child grows up a little bit. Father, help, pull me out of this, save me. He's not around. He says mother knows best. Some fathers even do what's called, in the book, When He's Married to Mom, some fathers say, I'm overwhelmed by this. I don't know what to do here. Sacrifice. Take him. All right, mother, abusive mother, he's all yours. I want nothing to do with him. I'm going to sacrifice my child to you. Leave me alone. I want to go to the garage and play with my hobbies. Leave me alone. And the poor kid had a brief moment of the mother's hovering, where the kid escaped to the garage. Hey, Dad, I don't want to like this. I want to hang out with you. No, go away. Poor kid. So go to, the reference here is Overdependency. A 30-minute film entitled Overdependency. It's only available on one website, nfb.ca, National Film Board, nfb.ca. Type in Overdependency. It starts off very slow. The first 15 minutes is kind of slowish. Stay with it. It shows you a very basic point. see what time is it? 6:02? Okay, 6:02. I'll close this up within 5 minutes. Yeah, okay. Any final thoughts about the freezing parent, frozen child? So the frozen child is always pleasing, submissive. They take all the blame. They're the codependent. They're the duped rescuer. They take the blame. They recreate the pain, thinking the pain is the love. And they want more love, so they want more pain. What a mess, right? What a mess. That's what she meant by the masochist, I think. The bully and the masochist. And then, now the freezing one, they're unaware of their own frozen childness underneath. They got an encapsulated flash frozen child underneath. They just flipped it over and identified with the aggressor and then push out the frozen child onto others and have the fantasy they can expel it. Nonsense. No matter how many people the bully shames, their own shamed child faithfully follows them inside wherever they go. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's an introject. It's a seared-in memory in the mind like that. The only way out of that curse is to build the adult mind and do the grieving process. But to do the grieving process, you got to admit the painful truth that the mother didn't love the baby. What a hard thing to do, eh? That's back to the Twilight Zone. What's it called again? Need to know episode. It's hard to know that kind of stuff. But the adult, we can know it. See, we can know it. It's moanful. That's Monday. Moan. But we can do the 7 days. I like how Tuesday can be used for Doomsday. That's a great one. The Doomsday, the unconscious guilt. The more pain the child feels, he thinks he's being punished. That means he's guilty. Couldn't save the mother. Guilty. Try again. Try again. Find shaming once the key. He's stuck in that timeless loop right now. But Miss Harding's point was no codependent, no person who's dominated by the frozen child can fix, save, cure, heal somebody in the present who is a parent copy of their parent in the past. Those people who are dominated by the freezing parent, most of the time don't know it. Now, it would be an evolution in our self-awareness that people can remind each other gently without anyone getting too upset. Which one is dominating you now? Are you being dominated now by which introject? Oh, good question. You're right, I think I'm being dominated by, so I was criticizing you just now. That's right, that's why I asked you this. Okay, I caught that, thank you. Yeah, I was dominated by the freezing parent if I was criticizing you. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. What a relief. I apologize for that. I was co-opted by my freezing self. Let me step into the adult mode and offer my sincere sadness that took place. It hurts you, it hurts me, and nothing's getting better like this. I'm really sorry. I feel very sorry about that. I feel sad about that. And I'm so glad you brought it to my attention. And, so you want to build the adult mind, right? Now, the person may click over to the frozen child one. Yeah, I'm no good. I'm never gonna. Okay. Oh, their friend says, "Wait a minute. Who's co-opting you now?" Yeah, I think you're right. I feel so guilty all the time. My frozen child is co-opting me. Yeah, I'm not responsible so much like this. Yeah. Okay. Let's put that aside too. Let me take myself out of the guilty box here. So again, another key point, the fact that there is a freezing mind and a frozen child, that clicks in repetition, compulsion, those two constructs. Only the adult mind gets us into the present. Okay, on that note, I think I'll close it up here for today. Okay, so let's close up with our closing song for today. Theme from Subway Sue by Pavlov's Dog. Thanks very much. I'll see you in the next video. Hold on a second. Let's let these people pass here. Just when I was going to close it. Hold on a second. I wonder if the way people, obviously, I couldn't tell with that fellow. Like, maybe we can tell by some, like, can we tell by the nonverbal posture and walking manner, demeanor, if they're dominated by one or the other? So if somebody charges down the sidewalk, get out of my way, obviously that's the freezing parent one. If somebody's walking around like a bully or something, that's the freezing parent one. You know, and the funny thing is, they're reinforcing their own frozen child one like that, which makes them more dependent on the bully mode to keep them unaware of the reinforced fueling of the frozen child mode. It's a negative loop like that, right? Now, if somebody walks a little bit sheepishly, that's pretty clear like that. They're in the frozen child mode. My working hypothesis for the moment is that most people in the public, like on sidewalks, they're under stress and they click over to the freezing parent mode. That just reinforces the freezing parent mode, because you're preserving the frozen child mode underneath. You're accepting the premise of the frozen child mode. Again, the bully mode, it's embedded in the bully mode that you're not supposed to know that you're really the frozen child underneath. It's more vulnerable. It's more. The freezing took place before 18 months. Those who are dominated, co-opted by the frozen child mind, they're considered to be traumatized more in the post-18 months, but prior to 36-month phase. So the role of the mother is to get the baby at the very least, post that 18-month part. So paradise in the uterus, natural birth if possible, correct it if there are problems. Give the baby the heaven and the bliss for the first 4 to 5 months, that egg. Let him have that oneness, that supply. Let him have that fusion. Then he hatches out of the egg at 4 to 5 months. And then from 4 to 5 months to 18 months, he thinks he owns the world. The world is my oyster phase, all about him. He's still in that godlike place. Allow it, humor it, whatever. Say to the kid, look how amazing you are, look how awesome you are. You're incredible, that's great. I see you, that's wonderful. And tolerate that kind of thing, or even delight in it, because the child is unique, you know. There's a delight in that. And then at 18 months, the narcissism dissipates mainly, and you can stay on track like that. So mothers really, if mothers can get the child past 18 months, the most dysfunctional will be is everyone's trying to please everyone. Help everyone. No one's going to hurt anyone. Can I help you? Like that. Let me save you. Let me save you. Let me help you. Let me help you. More like that. And they feel sad if they can't or something. But they're not going to turn into the stinger, usually, right? So at worst, we'll just be a bunch of clumsy caretakers or something, well-meaning caretakers or something. But if the trauma is before 18 months, now you got the bully pattern, Iago pattern, the goddamn psychopath, that really empty one, the psychopath. We don't have many quotes in that area, but I do mention it because that alien episode. Iago, that's okay. Iago, bully, lower functioning BPD is in there. the various narcissistic types, not just the familiar cookie cutter, dime a dozen outer one that we know about, and the Don Juans and the womanizers and the Peer Gints and the Casanovas, okay, those types. Yeah. You also got the voyeur one of them. You also got the clinging vine of that. You also got the turtle of that. And you also got the passive-aggressive narcissist. And I think there's a couple of others. The commonality of all those stinger personality patterns is they're going to be dominated and co-opted by the freezing parent interject. So they'll be negative and cynical towards others. So they'll always want to shame and freeze others because they're the freezing parent. They're co-opted. Their freezing parent interject co-opts them. And that's their understanding of love, loyalty to the mother, to be like her, mimic her, placate her, imitate her. Why? Because the mother wants supply. She wants imitation. She wants mirroring. She wants to be seen. So the child's imitating her. That's the mother thinking she's being seen. She's being seen. Mother didn't get that, so she sets it up like this. Yeah, okay, let's wrap it up here. Okay. Theme from Subway Sue, I think, opens up with those violins. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one with the violins, the nice violins there. It's off their first solo. It's off their debut album. Oh my God, one of the best, greatest classic rock debut albums in the top 10. That one there, that Pampered Menial one. Right? The other stuff that kind of fell apart afterwards. It's a one album wonder. 5 classic songs on there. 4 are on our soundtrack. Theme from Subway Soup. Episode, late November. That's a great one, eh? Late November. Episode, theme from Subway Soup. I can't tell you how amazing those songs are. They're such great songs. And Julia as well. Song dance. A lot of people like song. They close their concerts with song dance. That's the song where David Surkamp hits one of the highest notes in classic rock music history. You can really get the high notes there. Maybe only Steve Perry can hit in his day could hit that note or something. Maybe Rick Emmett in his day, or Steve Perry in his day. Maybe Brad Delp in his day, I'm not sure. But that's quite a high note there. Nowadays he can't do it, of course, but he's in his 80s or something. Okay, so let's hit the play button. The violins are coming along. Dun, 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 dun. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much for the love of narrative medicine.